Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Nextlander podcast. Here we are, barreling into November, video games' biggest month. The releases are all here, lined up. Triple A, AAA, and one of those AAs, the double A, Alex Navarro is here.
Okay, wait. Then who's the third A? Because I'm only two. If I'm two of the A's, neither of you are A's. So where's that third A coming from?
There's a Brad Shoemaker here as well.
Let's call me AARP. No, that's definitely not. What else?
Not yet.
Triple A washing machine repair. How about that?
Okay. AAA washing machine repair is here. How you guys doing? All right? Fantastic?
Fair?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. When you start the show with the AAA washing machine bit, things can only go up.
I don't know if that qualified as a bit, but sure.
I'm excited for this November.
Is everyone still recovering?
Yeah, a little bit, actually.
It was my anniversary last night, and I did as one does on their anniversary, and we watched. We ordered some junk food and watched a horror movie, and I took a cue, Brad Shoemaker, from you, and we watched It. Not It Follows. The Let Me In. Talk to me. Yes.
Did you watch Talk to Me?
We watched Talk to Me.
Did they have Australian accents?
Yes.
Okay, that was
then you watched Talk to Me.
They said both Talk to Me, and they said Let Me In.
Or I Let You In.
I Let You In, yes.
Which is a...
Just don't say that.
I never said that out loud before because they say it a lot in the movie, but then when I say it, I'm like, ooh, yeah, that's no. You don't want to say that to
don't
anybody.
Say that. Don't let anything, let alone demons.
Especially a dead person.
Yeah. It was one of those things where my wife was like, does this have kid stuff in it? And I was like, I'm pretty sure it doesn't have like little kid stuff in it. I'm pretty sure this is like teenager kids. And then it was all right.
Yeah.
We got through it.
Yeah.
That one scene.
That's pretty rough. I actually turned my head away and closed my eyes.
So did I, 100%.
And then I had to say, wait, what happened to his eye? She was like, oh. Well.
You never want to have to ask that, especially about like a kid like 12, 13, probably 13.
Yeah, he's like like early teens. How old do you think Mia is in that? Is she like
late high school?
Late high school? Okay,
like 17,
I couldn't quite tell.
Maybe 18.
They don't really go too much into the relationship there with like Mia and the other family, and I assume they're just like really good friends, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to think because like we're just talking about Talk to Me now, I guess. Like Mia lost her mom in the last couple of years. I don't know if that maybe brought them closer together, but I don't know if there's like a.
She seems to be having a rough situation with her dad, and she kind of.
She's kind of like an honorary member of the family, though.
It seems very well received. Alex, have you seen it?
Not yet.
Okay.
I thought that movie was great.
It's creepy. It is a creepy movie that
So happy anniversary.
Yeah. It was like,
is this what you normally do on your anniversary?
No, but we were kind of sitting there and we're like, we should watch a movie, and I was kind of scrolling through, and I was like, oh, I've heard good things about this, and there was nothing really else kind of popping up that I was like, oh, I'm really looking forward to watching this. But I had wanted to watch it, and then she was like, yeah, I was just kind of surprised. She was like, yeah, totally, I'd watch this.
What did you think of the scene directly prior, the offending scene, which was kind of their take on the classic sort of party montage?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Except it's a bunch of high school kids having a party, like montage party of all being possessed by dead spirits.
Yeah, they look like they're having a good time. I mean, the hardest thing is reconciling, like, this is such a bad idea versus, like, I don't know, teens are kind of idiots, right?
The horror genre cannot exist if this is such a bad idea is a thing that is even raised, let alone adhered to.
I mean, I don't want to get too much into the actual plot details, but I guess you could take the whole thing as like metaphor for, drug use, or insert your kind of teenage vice or something here, right? Where it's like, should we? We really shouldn't, but let's do it, right? Like
yes.
I don't know, Alex, is there a trope of like just teens being stupid, releasing some kind of horrible evil just from being... Because teens like to party. I mean, I know there's the horny teen.
That's just reality.
That's just reality, right? That's
I was the dumbest motherfucker when I was like 15 or 16. I would have fucking absolutely let those demons into this realm.
Yeah. But pretty good setup, pretty interesting take on the whole thing, and I think it wraps up in a as far as a psychological horror movie goes in a satisfying way. So
Okay.
Yeah.
So a successful anniversary then.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Look, Talk to Me is a great thing to be doing on your anniversary because it's lines of communication. You want to keep them open. Let me in, or I let you in, is not necessarily the right message, I think, for an anniversary. The door is locked. Let me in is maybe not the best, but talk to me.
You're sleeping in the backyard tonight.
Come on, let me in. Let me in. Brett, did you feel like you had a full understanding of the plot by the end, or did you have some questions raised? Like,
well, I'm quite sure the questions you might have are impossible to talk about without us just spoiling.
No, I don't want to get
movie.
into. I'm just kind of curious if like.
But I think I know what you're talking about, though.
Okay. Yeah.
I think everything like most. There was like there's one thing at the very end, the last inciting events. There was some conversation between my girlfriend and me about exactly what happened there because they don't show what happens.
I think just
who
kind
did
of
the
like
thing.
I guess
who did
my
the
question
thing at the end
come down to kind of without again getting into the details, some of the demonic motivations that are kind of playing out in the movie.
Yeah, that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, right. There's
hard to parse.
Hard to parse.
But if you were eternally damned, you might have an axe to grind with anybody you could get your hands on too.
I might say, please let me in as well.
I just love that you guys saw a movie that I haven't seen. So the two of you have seen something, and I haven't.
know.
I've also now had the interesting experience of having seen this movie and then told people I saw it, and then they got excited that I watched an A24 movie because I feel like there's like a whole ass A24 fandom out there at this point.
Yeah, and look,
I have nothing against it.
No, nothing against it. I do think they put out good movies. I don't think it would exist if the middle budget studio still existed in any meaningful way.
Yeah,
like
fair.
It's just that there's very few studios doing movies at that level.
Yeah.
In a wide release kind of scale. Like a lot of it is just like, direct to streaming or direct to video now.
Yes. Actually, in this case, I'm not sure A24 even made this movie because it was made in Australia with at least partially public funding. So
right, they might have just distributed it.
They might have just had distribution rights here for that one in particular. But
is A24 considered a mid-budget studio?
They're not making usually $100 million blockbusters, generally speaking.
I really don't know much about them other than they got special clearance or continued to have special clearance during the strike, right?
Yeah, because they negotiated a separate deal outside the AMPTP. So
gotcha. Okay, that's kind of where I had heard of that.
I think of A24 as the Annapurna of the film world.
Isn't Annapurna?
I guess Annapurna is actually the Annapurna of the film world, but I mean more in terms of the way people relate to them.
Sure.
The way people relate to Annapurna in games is how people seem to relate to A24 in film.
I think that's fair.
Picking up what you're putting down. I think the funniest thing about Talk to Me was after the movie was done, my wife was like, want to watch like a John Oliver or something, the palate cleanser to feel better. I was like,
it's pretty dark.
Really says something about how dark the movie was that you want to watch a John Oliver episode to feel better about anything at all.
Literally anything.
Yeah, right. But it did. I did need a little something before I just like crawl into bed. Like some kind of like I need a palate cleanser here,
a modicum of chill.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, and I hope you guys had a good evening as well.
Yeah. Like I said, I've just been getting used to being back because I was out west for about a week, and that was just long enough to completely throw off my schedule. So now I'm just kind of getting back to it.
How was your stay?
It was nice. It was fine. Pretty low key. Stay with family up in North Bay. We were out there for
Loki
the
was there?
Huh?
Loki was there?
Mm-hmm.
That's Alex, the god of mischief.
But we were out there for the wedding of our friend and yours, Drew Scanlon.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful wedding.
Beautiful wedding.
Great to see everyone.
Yeah.
Talked a little bit about it on the Ramblecast, but yes, very, very nice to see folks there.
It's never safe to assume that everyone who listens to the free podcast has heard the Ramblecast. So, just wanted to briefly touch on where we were at.
Yes. It was like nicely, it was a very tasteful wedding, which I liked. Like very,
none of that gaudy bullshit.
Look, I've been to a lot of weddings, and I appreciated the tone Drew had in his, like very like very friends and family kind of just
friends and family, 10-minute
celebrate.
ceremony. Let's watch some clips of movies that I like on a wall and just hang out. Like that sounds
ceremony.
great. Yeah.
I would say the last wedding, went to Mike's wedding. Also, pretty short ceremony, which was like very emotional, very nicely done, very like from the heart, but also not like some of the Catholic weddings I've been to that are like hour-long ceremonies.
Yes, I know. I said this to you at this wedding. I was the best man in a Catholic wedding once, and the priest straight up advised us, like, "Hey, don't lock your knees while you're standing up there."
Yeah,
because you're going to be standing there for a while, and you might pass out.
Yes. So like, I also appreciated the kind of, this was at Mike's wedding too. The kind of bespoke nature of the whole thing, right? Like it was very tailored towards them, the vows and the. I assume they wrote their own. It sounded
very heartfelt.
Very heartfelt. And it was nice. And then no dancing at this wedding for me.
No, you got your groove on at the last one.
I did. And I just kind of a lot of good conversation to be had. What was yeah, sorry, Brad.
I had to remind myself it's what one does out in the world.
Go dancing?
Yeah. Well, no. Conversation, interacting with people, just doing stuff in public. That might be the first like big social function I've been to in about 3.5 years.
How you seemed like you were doing okay. You were navigating well.
Yeah, well, thank you.
We're all getting back.
You weren't hiding in the corner.
No,
yeah.
Tempting though it may be.
Everybody seemed to be in good spirits.
Yes.
Some of those.
I ate a bunch of oysters and was not poisoned. So success.
Oh yeah, that was yes. If you walk away from,
not that I wouldn't trust the catering at a wedding like this, but whenever there's like, hey, oysters, it's like, all right, I am rolling the dice here.
Yeah.
It might be weighted in the like fresh versus not, but I always am just like, okay, I'm gonna try it. Totally fine.
I went on the coast. You know.
I went to lunch. Speaking of seafood, I went to lunch with Austin. Because the wedding was later in the day. I went to lunch with him. We went to kind of a nicer seafood place, or like what I would consider a nicer seafood place. There wasn't anything like San Francisco has nice places that are actually relatively not super expensive. Sometimes I mean,
everything's expensive now, so it's all
I guess everything's expensive now. But like for me, sometimes the price to like this place is like cloth napkin nice, but the price tag is not all the way up there, right? Anyway, went to a decent place. It was a seafood place, and I had this conversation with Austin, but like, I was like, man, there's fish and chips on the menu, and I can go two ways on this. Is that like, come on, man, this is a nice seafood place. Don't get the fried fish and the thing. Or I need to try this place's fish and chips and see if I'm going to get fish and chips. I want to see what they do to fish and chips.
Just tell yourself it's a deconstructed fish and chips. And
there you go.
You'll
okay.
be fine.
The chef here has done a deconstructed fish and chips. It's battered in organic, homegrown.
Just tell him to put some foam on that shit, and then it's fancy. That's all it takes.
I don't know if it was that fancy a place, but it was.
Give me some of that cod foam.
Ew. Gross. And we got into a discussion about I like fish. I like all types of fish, but I don't love salmon. I'm not a big salmon fan.
No.
What?
I mean, look, like
salmon?
what you want. Salmon is my favorite fish.
Oh, it is? Okay.
By like a mile.
No, I'm just not. I'd like salmon to me, maybe because I've had a lot of salmon with like skin on and like there's something a little fishy and oily.
Sure, yeah.
About
it really
salmon.
just depends on the preparation for me.
Yeah.
Like salmon's one of those fish that like I'm always happy to eat if it's served to me, but like I don't usually order it. I think it's more that I've just ate too much of it because my parents used to serve it all the time.
I like a salmon steak.
Other fish.
Like a big seared, like a salmon thing. But yeah, like I think I enjoy fish that isn't very fishy. Like like the bottom feeders.
You're like the mild.
I'm like a tilapia. Like a.
You want a
like
fish that is just like if you're served it and you just say, "Well, that's fish." That's all you need to know. You don't need to have anything more distinctive than that.
Is that a whitefish tilapia? I'm not
I
sure.
think so.
Yeah.
Cod.
Like a cod. Yep. Exactly.
Cod's good fish.
Halibut.
Something you want to put. You could just like put a little lemon on, and that's that kind of carries.
A little lemon, few capers. There you go. All you need.
Yes. Yes, but salmon already has its own flavor profile. And,
It's weird. I don't think of salmon as that fishy. I guess it really depends on how you make it.
like I said, I think I've probably had a lot of salmon. In my memory, I'm thinking of salmon with kind of a rough skin on it. And like that skin, I feel like can be a little oily. Maybe
All right. Here you go. All right.
Yeah.
Skin down. Let's see if I got this right. I've watched this done. Skin down, like drizzle a little olive oil.
Okay.
Some lemon, some dill. Salt and pepper.
It sounds good.
Cover it in foil.
Yep.
Put it in the oven. I can't give you the numbers.
20 minutes? Fish cooks pretty quickly, right?
Yeah. It's not long, but that kind of salmon preparation is not the slightest bit fishy to me.
Mackerel? That's a fishy fish. But that's a fishy fish. I feel like I haven't had a trout or like a bass in ages.
Or a snapper.
Or nope. A red snapper? Nope. I haven't had a whole fish in a long time, or just like a fish on a plate. I feel like I've had fillets mostly. I should go find some place that just give me the whole fish. Swordfish?
Everyone's learning about our fish preferences. This is the most important shit that we could be talking about on this podcast.
All right, ranking a fish, go.
All right, let's do it.
Tuna, number 1.
Yeah, with a bullet.
I would agree with you if it wasn't for the whole mercury thing.
Free range, great, no mercury, mercury-free tuna. Great.
Yes.
Give me it. It's good as a sushi or sashimi, and it's good out of a can. Like tuna. Good fish. And tilapia or flounder, it's pretty good.
Where's it rank?
Ooh. I don't know.
Where's that blowfish go?
It goes in the poison. It goes, you know where the blowfish goes.
So like second or third?
Because it can kill you?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Because it's how you know you're alive.
For now.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know enough about fish to, I don't know. Branzini? Is that a...
Branzino?
Branzino?
Things up.
No, that's real.
That's a fish, right? I feel like I've seen that on a menu. Anyway, we're here to talk about fishy games. Incredible fishing.
It's kind of a fishy November. Not a lot of stuff coming out. Not really sure what's happening anymore.
And I would have played that Ridiculous Fishing remake if I could have just bought it.
Ridiculous Fishing. What did I say? Incredible Fishing. Ridiculous Fishing. Yes. We're going to talk about some stuff.
No, Incredible Fishing is the Android knockoff.
Let's just start with the video games. We've got Like a Dragon Gaiden.
It's too late for that, man. We started with fish and anniversary talk.
I'm sure we'll come back to it. Alex, talk to me about Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name.
All right, let me take my hand and let me guide you through the many trials and travails of one Kazuma Kiryu. So, as we all know here, the Yakuza franchise has, to a degree, the Like a Dragon franchise, has kind of moved on to its new protagonist, Ichiban, in the last Like a Dragon game. But if you didn't play that game, you might not know that Kiryu makes a little appearance in that game, makes a little cameo in it toward the end. And you don't really know what his deal is, except that he kind of swoops in, saves the day during a mission, and then you talk to him for a little bit, and you're like, I don't know you, dude. What's going on? And he's like, yeah, you don't know me. Anyway, bye. And so that's all you kind of get, is that Kiryu is involved in something going on during the course of that game, but you don't really know what it is. Now you get to know what it is.
Oh, okay. So I've played a little bit of this, of the man who erased his name, and there's a flashback in that game. Is that flashback to what?
That's
what
to
game is
Yakuza 6, which is the last Kiryu game.
Okay. So the setup being that Kiryu is now kind of gone undercover.
Yes. Well, not exactly. Okay. I have to spoil a little bit of the ending of Yakuza 6 here in order to explain any of what is going on here. So this is my demarcation line of, if you didn't play Yakuza 6... get on that. What are you doing? So at the end of that game, there's a lot going on in that one, and I'm not going to be able to explain all of it, but basically, Kiryu stumbles on a secret that goes well beyond the scope of the Yakuza and the various crime families and all their wheelings and dealings, and basically discovers this secret faction, like crime faction that exists within the Japanese government, called the Daidoji faction. And basically the head of that group is the fixer for all things like government level crime in Japan. Like they do all the really dirty shit that the government doesn't want anyone to know about. And also there's like a battleship involved, which it causes a whole thing because, Japan is not supposed to have a standing military. They're not supposed to have military hardware. And this was part of some other whole conspiracy that would take way too long to explain. But the game ends with Kiryu taking a bullet for someone and then waking up in the hospital later and basically striking a deal with those Daidoji people to be like, if you protect Haruka and the many orphans that I have become the benefactor of over the years, who are down in Osaka, I will be dead. You can fake my death, and I will be dead, and I will be gone, and I will keep your secret.
I will keep your secret, right? That's what the flashback basically gets. So the bargain being, I won't talk if you continue to fund this orphanage and do whatever.
Yes.
But they want a little more.
Yeah, exactly. And so you don't really know what that is going into that. And all you really see in Like a Dragon, the last one, is Kiryu kind of swoop in out of nowhere, and he seems like he's extra badass. But that's kind of it. And so in this, the man who erased his name, Like a Dragon Gaiden, and I'm only a few hours in, and I'm actually going to avoid trying to say anything too far beyond like kind of the first hour and change of this game, because there's some things that start revealing themselves pretty quickly. But basically, what you find out is that Kiryu is now doing wet work for the Daidoji faction. He is being hidden away in this fake temple somewhere where he is being, his needs are being catered to. He gets free food, free lodging, whatever. There's an old monk there who kind of hangs out with him. But when they need him for jobs, they call him in, and he goes and he does them. Like, the game opens with you doing a bodyguard job for the head of the ruling party in Japan, his, like, daughter or granddaughter.
Granddaughter, I think.
Yeah, granddaughter, and she's, like, out at a party or something. You're just bodyguarding
She's
for
wasted.
her. Yeah. And it's, all you really know is that, like, they're just going to call you up once in a while and bring you in. You have a handler who Kiryu does not like very much, though he starts to develop a grudging respect for him pretty quickly. And basically you are doing Bourne shit for this criminal organization that still exists despite the fact that their patriarch is dead, who dies at the end of 6.
And so I'll just say, I'm pretty far behind on a lot of the Yakuza stuff. I've seen a lot of it. We played through a lot of it, through work and all those things. Kiryu in this one is a confident and like saltier Kiryu.
Yes.
Like he is not messing around. Also, the way they frame him, at least in the earliest parts of this game, he's extremely badass. Like,
he's been that for a long time is the thing. And the only real difference, because the thing is, Kiryu's always been the Dragon of Dojima. He's always the guy that everyone wants to test their mettle against, and no one can beat him. Except a bullet every now and again, though they still don't kill him. The difference here is that he hates his life now. Like, he is in this position of, like, I'm basically in stasis for the rest of my life, except when they pull me out of cold storage to go do something I don't really feel like doing. And so that's where that saltiness is coming in. But, like, he's always been this, and he's always been the guy that everyone is either scared of or, like, not smart enough to be scared of.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of rolling with that here because he doesn't really have anything else to do. Like, in the past, he would try to talk his way out of fights for the most part if he didn't have to.
Maybe the difference I'm seeing.
And now he's just like, if someone wants to start shit with him, he's like, cool, this is a way to pass the time. Let's do it.
Or like, at least, again, I'm very early on. It seems like it's a lot of like, your funeral, man. Like,
yeah. You want to go? Let's go. I've got 20 minutes. Let's do it.
Yeah. And a lot of like, cool guy sunglasses stuff. And
absolutely. Yeah, they got him in a suit. They give him a weird, like, one of his fighting styles now has this incredible laser whip thing that he uses to sort of grab dudes and swing them around. It's a little bit like a Spider-Man attack. It's kind of neat. There are multiple fighting styles. At some point in that game, your handler is just like, hey, we're going to subscribe you to the Daidoji catalog, and that's how you learn new martial arts styles.
Yeah.
They just send you books.
But it's expensive. But
yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah.
But so the thing with this is that it's picking up it's picking up where Yakuza 6 left off, and they are doing a little bit of this is running parallel to the timeline of Yakuza 7, Like a Dragon. But so far, it's been a lot of like, you show up in Yokohama and they allude to the fact that Ichiban is just over there behind that tent with a gunshot wound, but you don't have time to go see what's up with that. You got to go do something else. So they're just kind of like hinting at little pieces of the story. And at some point, I know they're going to meet back up because there is a scene in 7 where they do.
I don't know if you saw, there's an interview going around where they flat out said this started as DLC for that game.
I believe it.
And they made it in like 6 months, but then they were like, we're just going to turn it into a full game for some reason. But it very much should be connected to that.
So it's interesting. In the early goings, they're bopping around locations a lot. Like you're in Yokohama, and then they throw you in Osaka, and then I think I'm just on the verge of unlocking that giant crime barge that I mentioned from that preview that I played a few months ago. So that seems like that's going to be a central location where a lot of stuff happens. It's not big, but it does have a lot of like, mini games and other things you can kind of interact with when you get there. So far, there hasn't been a lot of just kind of letting you be in the city and kind of like, I haven't really run into any side stories yet or anything. It's all been very main narrative focused, and a lot of it has been like, okay, go to this location. You can kind of walk around a little bit, but then we're going to throw a bunch of like beat 'em up missions at you, and then we're going to whirl you away to the next place. So there hasn't been a lot of the just like kind of lazy hanging out parts of Yakuza so far. It's mostly been like, hey, we are doing narrative here, and you are going to have to do this for a while.
It's a $50 game. It is also, interestingly, I mean, I guess because of the tie-in to 7, it's on PS4 and PS5.
And the PS5 version, I'm going to say right now, looks real nice.
Yeah, it looks good and runs well.
Everything's very shiny, but not to a plastic level of it. It's just that every once in a while they're cutting in what I think is actual FMV footage, and sometimes it throws me off a little bit.
Like when the street shots and stuff.
Some of the street shots and stuff, I'm pretty sure that's live footage, but like the way they blend it actually makes it feel like they are just cutting between their own engine and not. So
that's where we are now.
It's very tricky.
Right on the front screen, there's a like import from PS4 save too. I guess if you're looking to upgrade there. It's interesting. Like I'm familiar with the Yakuza stuff. I'm not as far behind as maybe I should be due to you playing them, Alex, and kind of going through a bunch of that stuff. But I don't know a lot of the new stuff with Ichiban and all that story. But this I kind of like the story, the way they're telling this story with Ryu here,
with Kiryu.
And I don't know. Like, I thought I was just going to plug it in and be like, I'll see what's going on here, and just kind of just confirm that this is still, a Yakuza / Like a Dragon game. But kind of wanted to keep going and see what happens.
I mean, the thing is, it's especially after playing the 1800s Japan one that they did a re-release of earlier this year, which I totally fell off of because the story in that was just not captivating me at all. My immediate feeling with this one is, this is that good Yakuza shit. Like, this is the stuff that I kind of come to these games for. Ridiculous as they may be, like, I want that, like, mega heavy narrative and, like, a lot of characters just saying really grave things and the occasional really stupid thing happening. So far, that's the only thing that's kind of been missing, is I haven't seen much of the stupid yet.
It's pretty dark. Like, it's a fairly heavy setup. Again, I'm fairly early on. I just got to the part where they're setting up what seems to be the main plot point here.
I think we're getting to the stupid because once you get to that barge, like that's kind of where things open up and things get, and they introduce you to a new contact. I think her name is Akame. I can't remember exactly, but she's like a fixer that you get hooked up with in Osaka, and she kind of like guides you through a bunch of stuff, and she's very peppy in a way that none of the other characters so far are. So I feel like she's going to be a considerable factor in that story, but I like her so far, and I don't know, it's just nice to be back in that world in the cities, just kind of doing Like a Dragon shit.
Sure.
Even if it is kind of a more grave tone than some of the other stuff has been recently, like it feels like they are treating Kiryu's story of like, okay, you really do want to know what's going on here, and we're going to luxuriate in this for a while. We're not going to rush you through it. So even if this is a shorter, smaller game, it feels like they are not treating it like it's a nothing story.
Here's the real question. Did you play the Infinite Wealth demo?
Not yet. I was saving that because I kind of wanted to see like if we were going to stream that or not. But yeah, I would like to check that out momentarily.
I heard
it might have some problems. I don't know.
I saw like one or two people on Twitter not speaking super highly of it, but I think is the demo the whatever they're calling their Animal Crossing mode? Is that what it is?
Maybe that's what it is.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
This is just some very brief impressions I saw of it from somebody who had review code.
Okay.
That is Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who erased his name. It is available, I believe at the time of this recording, a full release is tomorrow, November 9th. Available kind of on everything but the Switch, and $50.
Yeah. I've gotten into this weird thing now where like all my Kiryu Like a Dragon games are on my PlayStation consoles, but the Ichiban one is on Xbox, and I'm like, am I just going to keep that split going?
I like it.
Am I going to just... Is Ichiban the Xbox protagonist and Kiryu the PlayStation protagonist?
Ichiban wears a green shirt and Kiryu wears like a blue. Was blue the PlayStation color, would you say?
Listen, Ichiban is definitely from Generation Remix, okay?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Blue is absolutely the PlayStation color.
Blue, okay. Because I was I wasn't sure if it's purple, and that might just be a colorblind.
Red is Nintendo. Blue. Green is Microsoft.
Red is
blue.
Nintendo. Sure, yes. Okay, you're right. Red is Nintendo.
Green or blue is PlayStation, and PC is gray like fog.
Gray like beards.
Yes, it is a tan color like your old PC tower case.
Like a kind of a UV stricken white, like a
like something that has been left in the sun too long. Yes,
okay.
Beige. Have we said the word beige?
Beige. Yes.
Yeah.
Beige.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah.
A beige.
Wasn't 7 an Xbox exclusive, or at least it wasn't on PlayStation at first? I can't remember how that worked out.
I think they had it first. I think that might be true.
Because that was
it was on
Xbox,
Game Pass.
That was a Series X launch game, and I feel like I remember it was not on PlayStation at launch.
It may not have been at launch, but I don't know how long that window was.
Like I said, this one though available everywhere. I believe at launch.
Yeah.
Except for Nintendo, except for on your red Switch.
I will just say, again, a last thing here is just, if you are already invested in these games, of course you're going to play this. Just be ready to not just be like immediately back in Kamurocho, just kind of doing dumb mini games or whatever. It takes a while to wind up and kind of get going with its story. So just be ready for a lot of that at the outset.
Actually, I wonder how essential it is to Infinite Wealth. Like, I wonder if you have to play this to kind of know what Kiryu's been up to before that game comes out, because he's in that as well, or maybe they'll refresh.
Is he in that? Did they say that for sure? Okay.
Yes. That's the whole pitch for that thing, is finally both of them together in one game.
I would say you would probably want to know anyway, just because of the way 6 leaves off and the weird cameo he has in 7. Like, I think that is probably going to be of interest to you regardless. But, I mean, look, other than the fact that it takes a little while to just let you hang out in cities, the combat still feels really good, and so far the story is super interesting, so I'm into it.
And what's the story with Judgment? Or Judge Eyes?
Undetermined at this moment.
Isn't it basically done because of the rights issues, the licensing stuff?
Well, no, because I think they did finally strike a deal where they were able to bring Judgment 1 to PC. I thought they actually did end up putting that out on PC, if I remember correctly. But they haven't announced anything as far as like doing a third one. And I don't know if they're going to continue on with that series or not. They haven't made any specific indications about it.
And is that in the same world?
It's the same world, but the characters so far have not really intertwined that much. Okay. I think there were a couple of small Yakuza characters that made way into Judgment, but it's mostly just like bit players, like no one from the main thrust of the narrative. And
in this one, in Gaiden, 2 questions. One, this is the latest up-to-date version of Kiryu, right? This is like current day.
Well, this is the version that existed at the same time as 7.
7. Okay, so Infinite Wealth, if Kiryu winds up having a big role in that, would be the most
this will all be modern day, presumably, once that rolls on.
Okay.
He definitely does. They're pitching it as like co-protagonists, basically.
Like playable?
Like 2 Spider-Men.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. And then, that answers my second question is this modern day? And it's close enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's a few years ago.
Okay. Again, like a Dragon Gaiden, The Man Who Erased His Name, out this week. You can catch it, $50. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about some other video games here, and then let's talk about our plans to play other video games as we head into this November to remember. We'll be right back. The ground. This week's show is brought to you by Factor, Brad Shoemaker and Alex Navarro. You guys remember Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service?
I like food. I like it when I can eat the food fast. Factor gives me the food, and they make it easy for me to make it fast.
Do you like food? Do you like not leaving your house?
Yes.
Okay.
God, do I.
I also, things I like are time. I like my time. And
I like to have it.
I like to have it. And I like it when the food tastes good. Mm-hmm. As those that may know, it is a busy time here over in the States. We got a lot of holidays coming up, which means I'm going to probably eat not well. Or I will probably eat not well, and then eat good, and then eat not well. Factor can give you normal? Let's call it...
well eating is what you're talking about.
Yeah. With Factor, you can skip all of that stress of the meals that you're going to have going on during the holiday and choose from 35 weekly, flavor-packed, fresh, never-frozen meals that support a healthy lifestyle and meet your meal preferences. Not your cousin's meal preferences.
No.
Or your aunt's meal preferences. They meet yours, and I know you guys hate holiday traffic. All of these delicious meals are delivered right to your door and ready to eat in 2 minutes. You don't gotta get in a car. You don't gotta drive 2 hours to have a so-so meal. You're gonna be able to choose from those over 35 meals, and they're gonna be delivered right to your door. And in addition to those over 35 different meals, you have over 45 add-ons to suit various preferences and tastes. You can choose from breakfast items like apple cinnamon pancakes. Oh, this is my favorite part of the ad. Bacon and cheddar egg bites.
Oh, yeah.
Potato, bacon, and egg breakfast skillets. I love a skillet. Or for an easy wellness boost, you can try a refreshing beverage option like cold-pressed juices, shakes, and smoothies. And with Factor, you can rest assured you're making a sustainable choice as they offset 100% of their delivery emissions and source 100% renewable electricity for their production sites and offices. How do you get in on all this? Well, head to factormeals.com/Nextlander50 and use code Nextlander50 to get 50% off. That's code Nextlander50 at factormeals.com/Nextlander50 to get 50% off. It's that easy. Thanks, Factor. And we have returned. And let's just state again out of the gate here how weird it is. Brad, you've been doing this, 20 plus years, better part of 2 decades. Alex, kind of similar situation. This is maybe one of the weirder Novembers, right? In that you guys can remember?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
In terms of release calendar
I've
stuff.
been thinking that for like 6 months as I look at the release calendar every so often, and just was like, surely more games are going to get announced for November, right?
Yeah, right.
It's not that there's nothing, it's that what there is almost all within like the next 2 days, and then it's like a steep drop off.
And to be clear, I mean, like, I feel like September and October were so stacked that
they were stuffed.
It's kind of more just like all the big games already came out rather than there are no games. Like, I certainly don't mean to say that.
And another qualifier here is I'm mostly alluding to this is where publishers used to put their big AAA releases.
That's what it is. That's
ahead
what
of
it
Black
is.
Friday.
It's like literally the last 3 weeks, and particularly like the last week before Thanksgiving, it was just chock-a-block with the biggest games of the year, and that is no longer the case. But
so it's interesting. It's interesting looking at this calendar. There is plenty of stuff coming out, but it's not those big franchise barn busters that it used to be. But there is a game that came out recently, The Invincible. Now, I'm not familiar with the work that it's based off of, the book, The Invincible by Stanislaw Lem.
You mean you didn't read the book first?
I didn't read the book first. Though I asked my wife, do we have it? And she said, no, I have other stuff of his, but should we read it? And I was like, sure, let's read it.
He's the guy who wrote Solaris.
I never read that
really?
either.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize it was the same author.
Yeah.
Cool.
So this is sci-fi, and it's. I'm a little ways in. I'm not sure how long this game is. Is walking simulator still being used as a pejorative in places?
Sure, by people who are still living in 2014. Sure,
I use the term. I don't use it derisively.
Okay, like it is that type of game. I like that type of game, so I'm not using it to condemn it. But it is very much a. You're going to explore. You don't have a jump, right? Like
you're experiencing a narrative as you walk around and explore a space.
Yep, and you're interacting with certain things. There's a lot of back and forth over the radio. There's a big kind of mystery. You're on this planet. The setup is you're kind of part of a team, a small team exploring this planet. It is in a kind of retro future environment where I think Brad actually liked some of the tech here. It's got that kind of what have I seen it described as? Atomic punk? Is that a real phrase that people use now?
Sure.
Weird antennas on stuff with balls on the end of the antenna and rings around it, kind of Jetsons-esque.
Isn't that kind of what Atomic Heart was?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that was a little maybe more steampunk retro future. I don't know. I don't want to. The genres are all weird.
Yeah,
there's like 50s futurism. There's 70s futurism. There's you know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of, and really you could tie them all back to like the originating work.
Yeah.
When you say it's 70s futuristic, you're actually just saying it looks like Alien, for example.
Or it looks like Logan's Run, one of the two.
This is maybe a little cleaner than Aliens, but it doesn't really matter. It's that style, right, of stuff. And the setup is you wake up kind of forgetting a bit of what happened. You're unsure. There are gaps in your memory. You're in a spacesuit. You're kind of alone on this planet. And then kind of quickly you kind of get in touch with the ship overhead, and you're trying to piece together what happened on this planet, which is, a very worn path of setup, for especially for sci-fi stories. What happened here? Go find the logs, and we'll piece together the cosmic horror / the human error / whatever happened on here. But I am enjoying the setup here in the story so far. It's slow. This is a thing where you are not running very quickly. You have a kind of limited stamina to even move quickly, and then the game will slow you down. You don't have a jump. You don't have the ability to descend cliffs or platforms unless they want you to descend that cliff or platform with a prompt. But it's interesting. And if you're up for what seems like a well done, well acted kind of narrative game, I'd say go check it out. Or if you're familiar with the work and you're like, yeah, it's a really interesting take on it. I don't know what the book goes into. So
Solaris is the only novel of his I've read, so I don't, but I did really like that book a lot. I've always meant to dig into his other stuff.
It's been pitched. The log line is like a philosophical kind of take on what I've seen. Kind of the gist seems to be a should you even if you could kind of thing for human exploration, right? Like, and I like.
Were we meant to actually be here?
Yeah, that take on it. There are choices in this game. I don't know. Do choices matter? I'm not 100% sure yet. I have not hit a point where it feels like I've made a choice and I've seen a consequence of it. Like it's like, hey, do you want to go search for this party member now, or do you want to go kind of secure the area first? And I'm like, oh, secure the area first. That seems like a wise thing to do. And then like, okay, we don't know what'll happen when you go find that other party member. And
see how that goes.
Yeah, right, exactly. So I'm not exactly sure. And maybe that's a good thing, because maybe the consequences have been happening and they don't feel video gamey, mechanical. Like, oh, that's what happened. I got to this place and now I was late. I should have done the other choice. It kind of maybe, hopefully, that when they're rolled out, the consequences don't feel so binary that it's like, if I had just made this other choice, it would have been way different. It's neat. It is available now, or it's available, I think, at the beginning of this week. It's $30. Mm-hmm. It's on PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X. And
sounds kind of Firewatch-esque, maybe.
Yeah,
something along those lines.
Harder sci-fi, though. Obviously.
Oh yeah. I just meant like structure and tone. Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, look, I haven't played enough of it. I mean, I really like Firewatch, so like that could be higher praise than I'm meant to give it. At this point, since I haven't really gone through a lot of it, but I do like sci-fi, and I do like a walking around exploring a mystery type of game, especially if that mystery winds up being intriguing and not just like, I don't know, it was an alien down here. Look, there was an alien artifact. You touched it, and I can't do anymore. Can't.
No more touching alien artifacts. That's my decree for all things video games.
Just.
Starfield was the last one.
I think Starfield was even past the expiration date, honestly, on that shit.
Yeah. Note to developers working with ancient alien artifacts.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a progenitor thing, and like,
I'm calling it.
That's it. Brad called it.
That's right.
Hey, to kind of sidebar here, just to kind of piggyback on the Invincible. Barring financial success or people going over to Game Pass, do you feel like personally, this doesn't have to be your academic journalist hat, but I feel like personally Starfield was like doing all right?
Absolutely
again, aside from financials, like I know it's going to sell and move units, but
absolutely kind of an increasingly tepid sort of public consensus, I feel.
Yeah.
From what I see. Okay. Yeah, it did very well. Did extremely well.
Yeah,
and I'm sure we'll continue to do well, and they will
make a sequel 30 years from now.
Well, they have their Elder Scrolls thing coming up, so
that's what I'm saying. If they get done with that in the next Fallout, then maybe they'll think about doing another one.
Yeah, I don't know. At the speed that they make games, how many more does Todd Howard have in him? Not that they can't keep going after he's gone, of course, but
no, they'll let Obsidian do one of them. But
sorry.
No, I agree. I think my sense of both my personal opinion and just from everyone I've talked to who's played it is that there are a handful of people who really got into it, but even among them, they're like, doesn't really differentiate itself that much from just kind of the formula they've been doing forever, and the content of it is just not as thrilling as maybe people were hoping for.
Yeah, well, I mean, the one criticism I see, and I kind of pretty much agree with this, I mean, the one way that it really does differentiate itself is that it loses the sense of exploration that their previous games had, right?
Yeah.
By being so disjointed and not really just letting you roam.
Yeah.
With all the like
things.
Kind of compartmentalizing of the zones.
Yeah. You know, landing at an auto procedurally generated landing zone with a bunch of cookie cutter side stuff that you've seen 5 times already scattered around is just not the same thing.
You're right. You think, I mean, we don't have to get into a dissection of Starfield, but like, you think they did a disservice with some of the fast travel and the kind of ability to kind of warp around?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, they made those design decisions a long time ago, and I understand, but like, yeah, I think, I don't think what they have is that compelling on that level in terms of like, that was the thing that killed me, was that I just never really felt that compelled to like, I want to go there. I want to see that. I want to experience that. It was more of just like, all right, I guess I'll go to the next thing. You know, like it just did not have that pull of like, I need to see everything.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it just a little bit from this game, and then Brad, you and I played some Astroneer recently, and I was like, man, that's a fun game for exploration, right? Mm-hmm. And I just feel like Starfield for me had like no sense of wonder, no sense of I can't wait to see what's beyond this.
No, you know what it had? It's not that it had no sense of wonder, it's that its sense of wonder was a sense of wonder they were constantly telling you about and you were never experiencing. They were always telling you how amazing space was and all the crazy shit that was happening out there and like how amazing, you know, this technology is and all this stuff. but none of what you were actually experiencing as the player ever lived, at least from what I played in the 15 or so hours I gave to it. Nothing ever lived up to that or actually gave me, the player, that same sense. It was a game that constantly told you things were cool, but never actually was cool.
Yeah. Now that we're kind of opening up a little bit on the release calendar, I've got a couple of things I want to get back to. Starfield is on that list to push forward a bit. But I haven't even heard from people like, oh, if you get past this part, it starts getting really wild. I think the thing I heard was like, oh, maybe you should New Game Plus it.
Yeah, I mean, there was that to some degree. Well, I mean, this is not a normal case where like mechanics actually change when you do New Game Plus and there's new stuff there.
Yeah.
But the thing I see positively about it is more like specific storylines. People are like, oh, the UC Vanguard quest line is actually quite good. Like the X, Y, and Z faction quests are really interesting. Like specific storylines are good.
Sure.
Outside of like the mechanical reasons to finish the main quest, like the powers that unlock and stuff, I don't feel like I've seen a lot of praise for. I mean, we're just kind of talking about what other people have said at this point. But
yeah, so
I got about 24 hours into it and also fell off. Granted, other games came out rapidly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But it sounds like specific quest lines are worth doing in there, but maybe taken as a whole.
Dark Brotherhood.
It's like, yes, kind of, yes.
I think
but
that's
like maybe
actually
taken as a whole. It's like probably less than the sum of its parts.
Like we're talking about the release calendar and stuff. I think that's been my problem this year is that like there will be long stretches where nothing I'm that excited about is coming out, but then like over a 3-week span, like 14 things that I want to play all come out in that time. And then there's another like 3-month gap before that same thing happened again. And so it feels like I've been trying to catch up with like, okay, I have 6 games I want to play right now. What the hell am I focusing on? And then it's just like, and then there's that big lull where there just isn't anything like that I'm personally interested in. And it's been a weird just cadence for everything.
You wind up with like half a dozen games that you have 10 to 15 hours in.
Exactly.
And like, then it's like, okay, which one of these do I go back in? And by the time I finish one, there's like another 3 releases.
Like I barely had a chance to even scrape at Alan Wake 2, despite the fact that I'm pretty excited about that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because also like a Dragon came out, and also that RoboCop game came out, and also like I'm still trying to like get to the end of Spider-Man 2, and it's just like I gotta for someone who is ADHD and bad time management, this is not great for me.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of this is an us problem, to be fair.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of these games are really good releases that have come out that are in that zone of 20 to 30 hours that are just kind of.
But you know what?
What?
Like if Assassin's Creed Mirage, and again, I'm not putting this on the developers because I don't want to overwork anyone, but if that game had come out like a month and a half ago, I might have actually finished it because there wasn't that much stuff going on at that point. I might have actually gotten through it.
Well,
but now I'm probably never going to finish it.
It'll still be released in the, when you find yourself with good segue, by the way. I finished Assassin's Creed Mirage.
I knew. Yeah. See, I was trying to set you up.
Yeah. I, at some point, just said, forget it. I talked about this last time. Forget it. I'm just going to go and I'm going to do the main story here. Mm-hmm. Maybe pick up a couple of side things on the way. I did not necessarily enjoy narratively where that game was going. And I think you see most of what the combat is within the first couple of hours of that game. So, not my favorite one here.
You told me what happens, and I'm like...
Yeah, I kind of wanted to check in with you off camera, let's say, to see how that stuff ties into the bigger lore with Valhalla and where Basim winds up going. And maybe it makes more sense in the weave of those things. Talking to you, it sounds like, that kind of tracks, but doesn't maybe flesh out some of the bigger picture stuff.
I think if you're the sort of person that wants to know what is going to happen after the end of Valhalla, this doesn't have really much of any of that for you. It's more of here's more of that backstory, then we'll get around to telling you what the next thing is in the next great sequel in the Assassin's Creed franchise.
So, but really the kind of current day story is just not that exciting either.
Yeah.
So not the current day. That's confusing when we talk about Assassin's Creed. The in period story that they're telling in Baghdad around the time is not that I did not find that interesting. It's just like, I don't know. You just at some point you just run around killing everybody. And as a throwback game that I feel like was aimed at someone like me who enjoyed that style, yes, I definitely enjoyed that style more. But we've talked about this quite a bit. You feel this game stretching its design limitations, budget's not the right word. It started off as a smaller thing that they kind of built up by adding modular pieces of the same
you
thing.
can feel them just like taking beams and like trying to push it out more and stretch it out more than maybe what it actually had to work with.
Yeah, or like copy pasting some things to be like, oh, okay, now do this like 4 more times, and it's like, okay, like all right. So yeah, that game's all right. It's the nice part is it's not terribly long, right? And it's not that complicated to get through. But that one is off the list. But I don't feel like I'm back on board with Assassin's Creed, which I think I was kind of hoping I might feel like. They also have their thing coming out in November, which I had completely forgotten about. But their VR Nexus thing, did you remember that? Assassin's Creed Nexus VR?
They announced so many Assassin's Creed products at one time. It's easy to get them all confused, but yes.
Only in the vaguest possible terms do I remember this.
That's out like next week, I think. Which I'm not exactly sure what the hell that is, or if, again, canonically, narratively, if they're trying to squeeze that into some timeline. But that's Assassin's Creed Mirage. If you finish it, I'm curious what other people think about it. It just feels like a kind of bloop kind of game, like, all right. Yeah.
Look, I've held my tongue for weeks now as you've continued to play that, and I thought about gently suggesting, like, are you sure this is what you want to?
Like, it's such an easy game to just go in and push forward.
Like, hey, look, yes, I can go in and stab some people in the back for 30 minutes. Sure.
It has a rhythm to it. I'll give it that.
A lot of that was informed from like reviews saying that the story conclusion is wholly unsatisfying.
Oh, okay. So I'm not the only. I thought maybe it was just me because I've been out of the loop for a while.
No. I mean, if anything, I think it's just a virtue of it being originally an add-on for something that already has its own ending, right?
Yep.
Like there's only so much they can do when this is something that just feeds into an existing game.
Yeah, and from talking to you, Alex, it sounds like the ending, anything that is revealed in it, had been revealed already, so there's nothing revelatory in it. It's not like an Assassin's Creed Revelations, let's say.
No.
Couple of other things.
Title.
A couple of other things to kind of quickly touch base on here. Let's talk about it quickly because I mentioned it. Brad, you and I went back into Astroneer, which for a couple of reasons. One, they had that Awakenings. Is that what it is? Awakening DLC?
Awakening, I believe, is the post-game DLC.
Which we kind of wanted to check out, which I'm not sure we ever actually wound up getting into too much.
No. You have to do like the train stuff and everything to get to that, apparently.
But we did go back in, and that was a lot of fun. Kind of reminded me how much I like Astroneer, and also how much Astroneer, it could be a little rough in some of the places and holding on by fingernails in some other places. But
I love Astroneer. I say this in the most loving way possible. That game always constantly feels like it's just about to fly apart at the seams.
Yeah, and it's this is coming from a place where you and I play a lot of the co-op and multiplayer, and the single player I have had way fewer problems with.
Fair. Since we've been streaming it, I've had a like half completed run through that game sitting on the Windows Store version for like 3-4 years now. Coming off those streams, it took all I had not to just fire that up and spend all my time playing that.
Yeah.
But yes, I also think have had fewer problems there. But like the quest bug thing we had on the post game progress, like they added quests to this game after we finished it.
Yeah.
Like a quest log and everything. And you need to check those quests off so it knows, like, oh, you finished the game and we'll unlock the post-game stuff. We got in there, and it was as if we had never done any of the quests in the game, so we had to do a bunch of the busy work intro quests from the beginning to check them off again just to get access to later stuff. Yeah.
And to be fair, I'm not sure that Awakening stuff you have to do the entire completion of the game, but we were kind of confused, or we were in a situation where we weren't sure what the game thought we had completed or not.
Yeah, it's very confusing.
But one of the other reasons to check back in on Astroneer, aside from Awakening, is that System Era, I don't think we reported on this, but they got bought by
Devolver. Devolver Digital has acquired System-Era Softworks.
Huh.
Yeah, so Astroneer folks now under Devolver, and curious to see what they're, I think they're taking a pause. I think they stated not Astroneer as their...
Yeah, they have said they are working on their next project.
So
what that is, I'm certainly eager to find out.
Yeah, again, Astroneer, fun game, some problems with it, but it's really addicting. Like it's you just get in a loop with it where you're just
it just encourages creative problem solving in a way that very few games do for me, between the terrain tool where you can both like dig through and also form like build terrain in front of you wherever the hell you want, and the modular like mechanical and energy system. You've got a backpack with slots on it and things take energy, and it's like I can stick this wind turbine on my backpack or this nuclear reactor, depending on what I have, and generate power. It's like you can plug things into yourself, into vehicles, into buildings, and like dig things out, and just like it is constantly encouraging you to just figure things out to accomplish goals in a way that's kind of incredible.
And they're like, they're Clark Kent to Superman loop of like, oh man, it's a struggle. Everything's a struggle at first. By the end, you are just in a bulldozer drilling your way, pouring through planets with ease. Is fun. It's a satisfying loop to get into. Like
now, by the post game, with everything they've added, you can have both like power and basically infinite power and oxygen generation right there in your backpack,
and a damn hoverboard.
So you can just go wherever you want for as long as you want and not suffocate. Yeah. Except sometimes you still suffocate.
Except sometimes, or you crash on your hoverboard.
But that time I needed to get back to the ship that was on the entire other side of the planet that we were on, and I was like, what if I just dig through the planet instead, and did that, and it worked, and it was awesome. Like, that game.
It's very good. Astroneer, the other thing that came out, Brad, you played some of this that really intrigued me, and I almost wound up booting it up before the show, was Talos Principle II.
Did a
bit of that on the stream.
Been busy with wedding activities and stuff this weekend. I might have played more of that. That game really surprised me in the scope of it. I can't remember how much I played of the first game. I got a good few hours into it.
I'd heard very good things about it.
Yeah, Talos Principle is like beloved, and it's like it's very much a first-person like puzzle room kind of game, like somewhat Portal-esque, at least in its basic structure of like, you're in a room, you're going to solve this puzzle made out of mechanical stuff, and then you're going to go on to the next room and do the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of like there's a lot of philosophical writing in it, like that I never got far enough in to like fully uncover the nature of the story they were telling, but there's a lot of like high-minded stuff going on there. So yeah, we played some of 2.
And
it's definitely more of that in all respects for about 30 minutes. And then all of a sudden you're now in a robot utopia. Like you emerge from the simulation in which all these puzzle rooms take place, and all of a sudden you're back in the real world, which is apparently a society of post-human robots.
But the most human robots you've ever heard. Just like kind of complaining, just like, hey Bob, what are we doing today?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, like I kind of immediately, just from the setup of this game, sort of retroactively started seeing what people like so much about the first game, because like it right off the bat seems like it's really exploring kind of the nature of digital consciousness versus organic consciousness and stuff like that.
Yes.
But then yeah, like it opens up into, I don't know where it's going, but like again, you're not in this simulation that's just a bunch of puzzle rooms anymore. You're out in a world exploring like ancient ruins, and like it seems really interesting.
And there's in the robot world, again, people who play Talos Principle 1, maybe this is commonplace or makes more sense, but it was really interesting to see in the robot world a museum with like the buttons from the simulation puzzle game being like, oh yeah, that's a button that's used in the simulation.
That sure is that fan that I was carrying around in half a dozen puzzles just now, putting it on things to solve stuff. Like
really seems interesting. A game I want to spend a little more time in, or a lot more time in. And I'm debating on whether or not to kind of get through the Talos Principle 1. Maybe not a short endeavor there.
Resist.
Yeah.
It's not. From what I saw, it's not a short game. But also this game, again, I think this game kind of very much gets into the ending stuff of that game right off the bat.
I might just watch like a video recap or something.
I think that's probably the way to go. I think you kind of know what happened in that game by virtue of playing the beginning of this game.
They seem to set up, though. I think what I want more is just kind of the state of the world. I'm a little unclear of like timelines and what happened here, which I assume they go into in the first one. I don't know. And then Brad, a game
last thing I have just still hilarious to me that this is the same developer of the Serious Sam games.
Yeah.
Serious Sam was like pretty good.
I know this is Serious Sam.
Yeah, but you're tonally...
It's not a quality qualifier. It's more of a tone qualifier.
Yeah, no, I got nothing against Serious Sam. They're just so different.
Sam's existential crisis, you know. Remember those giant bosses that would just stomp around in Serious Sam? I think that was cool. Game I want to play also, Brad, you played a little bit more. It sounds like you kind of got to where that demo was, or that early... it was a demo of Jusant.
Yes, I have played some Jusant since it came out. It's on Game Pass. I played it on the Xbox. We streamed the demo of this not too long ago, like 3-4 months ago or something. The demo turned out to be the beginning of the game, so I have not actually gotten past where the demo ends.
I had that exact same experience with RoboCop. I am now right back where the demo ended, and now I am finally getting into the game.
It's very tempting to call it a Grow Home-like.
It's a climber.
It's not quite that. It's not quite that. It's sort of that. It is a climbing game. You are climbing a mountain, like one mountain in this game.
But it's less quappy than Grow Home was, right?
Yes and no. I mean, like the climbing controls, the grip is mapped to the shoulder buttons, or rather the triggers in this case, just like that game was. But Grow Home is much more free form. You can grab anywhere. And this game is more like there are handholds that you are grabbing between, so it's kind of...
It's level design.
It's kind of a mix of you are having to, like, there is some manual dexterity to grabbing thing after thing with individual hands and working the triggers, but you are more confined to the handholds that they have built into the level design. You do get... what's the climbing term? Piton? The kind of spike, the metal spike.
Oh, sure,
you can,
I always said piton, but like piton, I'll go with it. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it aloud.
I think that's what Google just told me.
Oh, you mean a piton?
A piton.
Anyway, you get some of those that you can jam in. There's a stamina meter. There are considerations for like how long you can hang on the wall without falling and stuff like that. And you get those that you can jam in wherever you want, that give you like kind of a fallback.
Right.
Sort of a like a failsafe, I guess. Like if you jam one in halfway through a long climb, and then if you fall, you'll only hang at that point, not die or fall back to the beginning.
I really liked what I saw during that demo. It seems like I don't think chill is the right adjective for that game, but there's something...
it's Spartan. It has this very sparse kind of open feel to it. There isn't a lot of life, at least from that demo that we played. It doesn't seem like there were a lot of people around. It's more that it's just a big open nature area, and you were kind of exploring. It doesn't feel like ruins so much as just kind of like a small number of people kind of living around that space.
Yeah, I mean the story is all told through kind of diary entries, like text log type stuff.
It's atmospheric, let's say.
Yeah.
And I kind of like the art style.
Looks very nice.
Brad, you had mentioned this. I didn't bring this up before in the notes, but I was just looking to see if anything else was going on here. A game I kind of want to jump into, and you had mentioned this, I think, as a goof on our Planorama once. Noun Town is in early access.
Are we going down to Noun Town?
I'm sorry.
And I kind of want to go to Noun Town. It's a language learning game that is in early access. I don't know if the VR part of it is out, but it's on the PC.
I had the thought when I was playing Jusant last night, when they defined that term at the beginning of the game, straight up dictionary entry style, of just like, what if you just went and tried to become... Okay, don't misinterpret the use of the word proficient here, because by proficient I mean like able to basically parse the most fundamental sentence structure. But like, what if you just like went and tried to be like, okay, I know how a sentence is formed in French now, like do the same for, let's say, half a dozen European languages. And anyway, go on.
If you with polyglot, is that the
polyglot is the term. I weirdly ended up on like my YouTube recommendations got very poisoned by learn a new language recommendations for a while recently. which like very quickly led to like drama in polyglot YouTube.
Oh no!
Where like some people were doing a video calling out other language YouTubers, saying like they don't actually really know these languages like barely at all. They're totally fronting that they speak 20 languages. They're full of shit. Like try to actually talk to them in one of them, see what they can do.
Okay.
The internet is wild.
Well, Noun Town in early access is out. I don't know that much about it. I did watch the like developer doing the live stream. The thing though that was maybe the most interesting to me, if you go to Noun Town's YouTube channel, right? And you go and you look at their shorts. I think it's a developer on it who took over the PR for it. And just has some like YouTube shorts just being like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I have to go. This game is coming out. Our PR person, our head of marketing, I think just had a baby, or they know they had a baby. And it's, I don't know, those made me laugh, small studio problems, which was pretty funny. I'm going to see if I could find exactly what it is. Yes. So there's one, you should just watch them. I thought they were funny. There's one where the developer is like, I was giving this talk in a big audience. It's always nice to take questions. And there's an interesting question that said, I think your game is nonsense. And how do we know you're really teaching people how to speak? And he's like, yeah, this is a really interesting question. So that I didn't have an answer to, so I just had him thrown out. It's just like, I have no idea. Yeah, which is just just a funny thing to see. I don't know. Good on Noun Town's YouTube channel. Like, got a kick out of it. Yeah, got a kick out of it. Anyway, that's maybe I'll go into Noun Town. I am always fascinated by people who are very good with languages. My wife is pretty good with languages. I'm terrible, absolutely atrocious at languages. I'm good at one.
I cannot be good at any others. I've tried.
I can't even, English, I can read okay. I still can't pronounce and do the speaking part of English okay, and that's been my experience with any other foreign language is I can usually get the vocabulary and reading down, but don't put me in a conversation or ask me to make the sounds with my mouth.
Yes. Bad. Yeah. I did 2 years of high school German and 2 years of college Japanese, and kind of roughly where you said.
Okay.
Still remember bits and pieces.
I took like 6 years worth of Spanish between late elementary school and high school, and let me tell you right now, I've got ¿Cómo está? Muy bien. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? That's all I got.
We should all just get away into Noun Town. Again, I'm not trying to promote Noun Town as some language learning thing.
Downloading it as we speak.
Okay, right. Like my mother-in-law was like actually big into the academics of language learning. I have some pretty decent ideas of what should go into language learning. I don't know if this is doing a lot of great stuff, but anything that might mix gaming and learning in a good way.
Oh, edutainment.
What language, Brad? All right. If you were to play something like Noun Town or appropriate, what's the first language you would pick up to be like, I would like to know a little bit more of this?
Probably brush up on those two because I've already got some basis.
Okay, so like Japanese
just use
or German?
a refresher on. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I could read like 100 kanji at my height.
That's pretty good.
Let's say I'm down to like maybe 3 now. Well,
okay.
No, not actually. I can get the days of the week and stuff like that. But I don't know. I mean, like it's mostly the other European languages that I don't have a lot of proficiency in that I think would be very helpful.
Well, that's
not only very helpful, but there's like especially if you learn German as an English speaker,
yes.
like, and I know the Romance languages are not quite to this degree, but like there's enough in common that you already have a subconscious bridge.
Oh yeah,
to learning a lot of it
with the Romance languages.
Well,
Latin-based languages.
Yeah,
Germanic stuff is all weird, and then
That's why.
But a lot of German also just sounds like English words where they add extra syllables.
That's what I meant. Like there is a lot of commonality there.
But look, I get my Spanish and my Italian mixed up all the time, to the great consternation of my wife. She just stops talking to the children in Spanish. Half of it's Italian. You're just mixing them up. But German to me is like a nightmare of just like, let's just call them Uber words. They're just gigantic mushes of words in a way that makes no sense.
German compound nouns are incredible.
And like stuff that's declined, and I don't know, like declination, the whole thing. And then Japanese, I looked at for a little while. I found Japanese sentence structure to be, and maybe I could be wrong, but at the time, semi rigid in a way that like made sense. Like it was like, okay, a lot of the sentence
totally
structure
different from how we do it, but
yes and no. Like verbs typically go at the end, but actually a lot of parts of speech are particle based, meaning you follow the term with a syllable that denotes what role it plays in the sentence. Or in a lot of cases, it's like, it's complicated, man. It's a lot.
Yeah. But it seemed like it had rules that it generally seemed to follow most of the time.
Yes, until you get into like casual speech. Like,
okay, because that was very early on.
That's what it is that we learned almost entirely formal speech in my 2 years, and it is quite rigid there. But the second you start getting into like, oh, you're talking to your friends now, not your boss, like it's all over the place, man. There are something like at least 7 different personal pronouns you can use.
Okay.
For example, also a lot of what you're saying is omitted based on context or based on implication or understanding.
Okay.
It's like you wouldn't even, like in a lot of cases, you wouldn't even say I if it's understood that you're talking about yourself, for example.
Sure.
Like it's, I mean, that's true in every language to a degree, but.
I'm from what I hear from non-native English speakers, I'm very glad that I grew up with English, because it sounds like learning English is just a goddamn nightmare. Absolutely. The rules of English are non-existent, and all the words, like the phonetic way rules of English are just
it's a real inelegant language. Like it has a lot of rules, but they're all applied in very haphazard ways. And everyone I know who originally started speaking another language and learned English said it is like the kludgiest, most clumsy language they've ever had to try and wrap their mouth around.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a real mud of a language, right? Like there's like a ton of the words are French because of the Norman conquest, and there's a bunch of Latin stuff in there and blah, blah, blah.
And there's even like some Nordic like roots in some of it. Like it's just all over the goddamn place.
What would you, if you had to talk to someone learning English, how would you tell them to pronounce O-U-G-H? That's always the one. That's always the one for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I would just go ought.
Is it cough? Is it through? Is it bow? Is it? I mean, there's like so many like.
I mean, like I've had to raise 2 kids trying to learn it, and learning it natively, I couldn't imagine trying to teach it.
You know what? You're right. We're throwing this shit out. We're going back to Esperanto.
Look,
they had the right idea. They just were at the wrong time. Now the world is ready.
Now we're ready. Yeah. Now we're ready.
King of all cosmos. He knows.
I think I would. I really want to learn Korean. Like I think I would. If I download Nountown, I think I want to try and not brush up, introduce myself to Korean.
I would love to learn Mandarin, just so I could talk to my partner's family. But even when she tries to teach me just like single words or like things, what I've realized is that there is just a wrapper around a lot of like syllables and sounds that if you speak the language, you learn, your mouth just starts like developing like, okay, there's this intonation, there's that intonation, whatever. I just don't have any of that. So like she'll say a thing and it'll sound like something and you're like, nope, that's 100% wrong. And I'm like, but that's what I thought I heard you say. It's like, nope, there's like these nuances in there.
Tone languages are a whole other thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing is there's nuances there as an English speaker, again, speaking this kludgy, clumsy ass language that it's just your mouth is not used to contorting itself in that way to even think about speaking that way.
Nountown.
Yeah. I'm not saying Chinese is impossible. I'm saying I'm too dumb for it.
Oh, yeah. And it's impossible.
For someone this dumb, yes.
27 positive reviews on Nountown.
How many?
27.
27.
I might have to go down. Nountown.
Hey, Brad, do you know if, since you did some Japanese, do you know if is there shared kanji between, or like characters between like Chinese and...
Yeah, kanji quite literally means Chinese characters.
So it is.
There's
They're presented differently, though, because like a lot of Chinese is up and down, and a lot of Japanese is side to side, isn't it? Or am I totally wrung on that? I could be.
You mean how it's written? Like
how it's written,
oriented? Yeah. I don't know about that.
Okay.
And there was only like 40,000 ish or something.
I don't know. I mean, that's a whole conversation. I barely know the parameters of this. There's like a low threshold the government defines as literate.
Oh,
which is I think like in the low thousands that you're expected to know to be able to like read the newspaper. But there's tons of.
Okay.
It's another thing I as my YouTube recommendations got extremely linguistic. I found a video of a Japanese dude going around Tokyo interviewing other Japanese people on the street, showing them obscure kanji and seeing if they could read them.
Oh, interesting.
And it was a whole lot of like, is that something? No, it's like it was definitely, there was plenty of confusion there.
Okay. All right, let's move on. We're gonna look. Like we said, plenty of stuff out there.
Yes.
If you want to get out there,
go learn something.
That's right. Maybe I will also take a trip to Noun and just see what's going on there. Again, I think it's in early access. I don't even think it's out yet.
It is.
And when I looked on the videos as I was watching before, I think there's a VR component of it, but I don't know if that one is actually out yet. Also.
I think that's a separate product from what I saw.
Is it? Okay. Yeah, again, I don't know too much. Language stuff always interests me, though. So
Japanese, Korean, Chinese, German, Spanish, French, and Italian currently.
Great. It's got
how is the full version planned to differ? We plan to add more languages.
That's a good way to do it.
It's got voice recognition in it, so that you can speak and it'll try and recognize you. Though in the demo I saw, again, I think it's a developer. I'm not 100% sure. They were demoing it and was like, "Oh shit, that's the wrong word," but it graded them on the word anyway. So I'm not sure how accurate it is. Voice recognition stuff, especially, I think, if you're not a native speaker of it, I think in the older stuff I've tried, which was like Rosetta Stone land, has never been 100% great.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You guys ever translate text with Google Lens, or I guess it's just called the Google app now?
No, I've seen people do it, and it seems kind of neat. Like that's where you hold your phone up and it just translates. Is it better now?
It's quite good. It's good. This is super random. This happened last night. My girlfriend has a Japanese coworker who wrote her like a thank you note in Japanese. Like by request. Like my girlfriend was like, she's like, "Oh, why don't you write in Japanese? I just want to see it or whatever." Like easily, like the phone app took the 0 time to translate handwritten Japanese, which I'm not gonna weigh in on the quality of her handwriting or anything, but like it was not printed text.
Yeah,
and it translated it perfectly intelligibly, like instantly.
That's wild.
Like it's gotten extremely good.
Do you know if that's on like pretty much every version of current OS, or like does that work on modern Apple phones?
I would assume so.
Because
I would assume that works on just about everything that you might have at this point.
Just get a new phone.
The one thing I could not find is a way to transliterate the Japanese characters into Latin characters, but retain the pronunciation like phonetically.
If you can like try and read it.
Yeah, if you can't read the characters but want to know how to pronounce it. I don't think it has that, but that wouldn't be that hard to implement.
Man, what? Sorry, what's katakana and hiragana?
Yeah, those are the simplified alphabets. Katakana is for foreign words.
Okay. Hey, tune into our new podcast.
If you want to exclusively play Famicom games in Japanese, you can do that fairly easily because the Famicom is not high resolution enough to display kanji. So everything is written in kana.
Oh, that's wild. Okay, that is a weird thing.
Like I think I actually have seen people we know on Twitter saying that like playing Famicom games was a great way to help learn Japanese because you can get into reading it very quickly without having to know all the kanji.
Huh. Well, we're all going to be language experts. And Assassin's Creed experts. And climbing experts. And puzzle experts. And fish experts. All right, we're going to take another break here. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about what's going on in the news. Stick around. Folks, we are back. I hope you didn't miss us, or did you miss me? Or, I don't know, insert video game thing here. We've been doing this a long time. There's plenty of catchphrases.
Missed me with that.
Kept you waiting, huh?
Yeah. We're here. It's time to talk about some of the news. And this week, we've got some of the news. This one is kind of funny. kind of funny. Brad Shoemaker, you've got a list of stuff here, and I think we should start with the Grand Theft Auto 6 stuff, being that it is Take-Two's earning call coming up and all that. So, like, we do want to get their message out there. What is going on with Grand Theft Auto 6?
Will it be GTA 6? Who can say?
Who can say?
This email from Rockstar Games in my inbox this morning refers to it as the next Grand Theft Auto.
Okay.
Yeah, they Rockstar has announced. I guess next month is their 25th anniversary. This had been going around. Like last day or two, I had been seeing people speculate about whether Keighley was going to get the GTA 6 reveal for the Game Awards or not, which I assume must have been a rumor, because otherwise, why would you talk about that? Anyway, sure enough, here's Rockstar this morning saying, hey, for our 25th anniversary, we will release the first trailer for the next Grand Theft Auto next month.
Okay.
So, the very first time anyone will ever have seen footage of Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yes.
Ever on this earth.
I certainly haven't seen it.
As far as Rockstar wants you to believe, yes. You're, of course, referring to the leaked footage. That was a pretty massive leak.
Pretty dire leak of a lot of extremely early and like not even fit for public consumption footage. More like in development stuff.
So, I don't remember the leaked footage too much. During the break,
I do.
You guys were talking about. I was like, oh, I remember that. It had a lot of it was kind of interesting to see because it had a lot of in development tools in it, right? Like
a lot of the dev tools are still active. You could see it, yeah.
But we still don't know exactly the kind of setup and the story. It was speculated, right?
The footage kind of lined up with some prior leaks about where it would be set and what it will be about, but.
I mean, the gist was it was a Bonnie and Clyde story in Vice City,
it's like,
more
it's like
or less.
Male and female co-leads, like potentially two playable. Who knows? There could be more. There could just be one.
Well, I think one of the things they seem to indicate was that if it is Vice City, it actually extends out further into whatever their version of Florida is. There's supposed to be some Everglades swamp stuff in there too.
Is that out of the leaks?
I think that was in the early volley of leaks, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I mean, that even 5 had a lot more area around city than you would have seen in previous games. It's certainly, especially with these new consoles having way more memory, it seems likely they could do something like that. Much bigger landmass. Also, there's also the weird wild card of online is probably all they actually care about now. So what are they actually doing with the single-player game to just prepare the ground for whatever online plans they have?
Boy, that's a great question. I wonder if they leave those things separate for now. I don't know.
It's complicated in a couple of ways because, look, the campaigns had been the draw for Grand Theft Auto for a long time, but we are now in a Dan Houser-less, and also, it's not like the Benz is still around to be the fixer. It's Sam Houser's show, and I imagine Dan Houser probably did some of the writing work on that game before he left, but I don't know. They have not, obviously, until we see this trailer, we don't know what kind of tone this thing is going to strike. But the other thing is that the last time they tried online, which was in Red Dead, it didn't work.
Yeah, that was such a different thing, though.
Yeah,
but I guess
they tried to make it that way, and they never found the right thing for it.
I think my bigger a game industry veteran take would be GTA Online. I assume still prints freaking shark bucks, whatever they call them.
Today, now, yes.
Shark cards,
whatever they are. Do you split that base up and do a thing that requires you to, I assume, be on the next generation of platforms, or do you just bring GTA Online into this game and say everything you had comes in? We're continuing this, and you can now explore this area in GTA Online as a bigger
tough. I mean, I think the closest analog that comes to mind is World of Warcraft, and there's certainly a reason they never made a World of Warcraft 2.
Right, and you just make zones, right? You just make other zones that you can go into where, you can load into this place and fly around, but you can't fly around in your others.
Okay.
Are you saying they're going to add flying mounts to Grand Theft Auto Online?
Maybe.
I mean,
are we going to get Grand Theft Auto Cataclysm now?
Which we'll get to in a second because we're going to talk a bit about BlizzCon. I have a question for you guys about that stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, that to me, I don't. If Rockstar just did a whole new GTA Online, that seems like the wrong move for me. That's
a tough one. That's a tough nut to crack for sure.
Yeah. I have a theory.
But real quick, but also if you try to bring the old game over, then you're somewhat bound by all that work, that technology, level design, etc., that was done on old platforms.
Not only that, I agree. I think that's part of why they actually are going to probably launch this as a new online mode. But the other thing is that you now have the opportunity to sell a whole bunch of shit to the people that are still playing your game that already bought all your old shit.
Yeah, yes, but...
And those people are not going to stop playing because now they have to go invest in a new platform. If anything, they're probably stoked because they collected all that shit a long time ago, and they have just been, like, experiencing the drip feed of content they've been putting out ever since.
Okay, let me ask. I have not played Grand Theft Auto Online. Isn't like property ownership a pretty big deal in that game? Like having a house and stuff? Like I could see maybe there's some pathway to like the deed for your house transfers right over, or blah, blah, blah.
Or you can buy one free cool house because you were a power player in the last game.
Like some kind of continuity that comes over but doesn't require you to maintain two games at once or something?
Yeah.
Can we agree worst case scenario is they announce a new GTA Online, and then 3 months later they announce they're turning the servers off on the original GTA Online?
Oh, I bet original runs for years.
That I also believe, yes.
Because that's the biggest thing to me is like, what do you do with that? Do you just let it just collect money? And if people want to come over, they come over. Otherwise, stay in there and just buy whatever you want to buy.
They're not going to make new content for it once this whatever online version of GTA 6 comes out, whether it's at launch or later, because I mean it was later in GTA. Though I have to imagine they have something prepared for launch here for this, but I think they probably let that game run for a good long time until it just stops making money.
Yeah. I could see them continue. I mean, I don't know what they add to it on an ongoing basis. Maybe it doesn't get that much new content to begin with, but you know, they're still making EverQuest 1 expansion packs. You know, like. They could support both games separately.
We'll see. And I for me, the biggest I got into the online stuff was when we did the heists during the Crime Crew stuff, and I was kind of paying attention in that world, and because that was all from the online, that was all GTA Online, and that stuff was fun. And if they did more of those things, hey, look. Maybe it's time to get the Crime Crew back together again and start
job. And by one last job, I mean a series of about 14 jobs.
And maybe the functionality of getting a crew together without spending 3 days worrying about the weird collapsing infrastructure there.
Oh, no, it'll still be fucked. It'll still be totally fucked. I don't care how many years they've had to work on it. That whatever they launch will still have a lot of things broken when that happens.
But crossplay Crime Crew.
Crossplay Crime Crew. And I am still, consider me old school Grand Theft Auto, and I kind of want to see what they do in the narrative here and see what a 2023 announced. Let's say this game's probably not going to be until 2025 or 26, right? Depending on how far along they are.
My memory of 5 is they announced and released in the same year.
Within the year?
I think by holiday next year it will be out.
Okay.
I pretty distinctly remember going to the Clift with Ryan and Jeff to see that game like before it had been announced. I want to say maybe it had been announced by then. Actually, I could be wrong, but it was like they showed it for the first time like maybe 6 months before it came out.
I could believe it.
That's the thing is that I would almost bank on even maybe a summer release date like June or something.
So when was GTA 5?
2013.
Okay.
Like September, I think.
Red Dead, very different game, right? Red Dead 2. I am curious what narrative tone they strike in a GTA 6 in a modern Take-Two.
That's really it.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, especially with like the Hauser brain trust out of there.
Or just
like
it's been a long 10 years, in the video game world. Like a lot of that stuff I just don't think.
Oh yeah, I mean socio-political satire is dead and buried at this point. Like there's no, I mean we've said this 1,000 times, like you can't satirize what's going on in the world.
Right.
But let's also be clear, their satire was also never that good. Like it was better than a lot of other video games for a while, but like by the time GTA 5 rolled around, that shit sounded like warmed over South Park. Like it was not good.
It never did that much for me. I always thought the Red Dead games were miles ahead of GTA and
2 in particular,
in terms of writing.
But I think look, I never like the GTA stuff for me was always, it was riffing on a riff of Hollywood stuff, right? And I was like, okay, fine. But I think it has not aged well at all. And so that's what makes me very curious to see what a modern one, the tone is going to be on that stuff. it dabbled in cliche and stereotype in a way that was so broad that I don't even think would pass as satire or that funny.
No,
now,
20 years ago, sure. Yeah, back when, let's just say the idea of video games having decent writing was still kind of like a novel concept. Right. Yes, absolutely. And some of look, I'm not saying there were never good jokes in those games. Sometimes there were. But then a lot of it was also just really bad wordplay that was just a bad homophobic joke. Like, none of it was really that sharp so much as it was just sharper than a lot of other video games.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it remains to be seen. The proof will be in the pudding, but it could be a good thing that the kind of big name creatives are out of there now, because it's going to give other people a chance to shine, like a new group of writers to put their own stamp on what this is doing and like modernize it, hopefully.
That's what I hope for. Yeah, like that's what I'm really wanting to see, is that by bringing in different writing talent and maybe taking a slightly different approach, can they actually do something that is interesting or, satirical in a way that doesn't just feel like the same gags?
Here's my 2023 hot take review. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
GTA 3 went soft. It went woke. GTA went woke, and all
you'll get that regardless. It does not matter what they do.
GTA went woke, and also, let's say 5 missions are extremely offensive. Like there are at least 5 or 6
bare
missions,
minimum,
right? So you're gonna get both ends of it. You're gonna get GTA's got completely woke, and like this is actually extremely offensive, and like this representation's terrible, or there's this how could you not get appropriate research on this thing and doing this joke is old. You're gonna get both of them, and I could just give the game right now, it's still gonna get 5s. It'll just get 5s across the board, and and sell very well.
Unless it's broken as hell, yes, that is probably what will end up happening. And
no, just the online will be broken as hell.
But I mean, look, based on that leaked footage, it definitely feels like they are leaning into the Florida Man thing a little bit in a lot of that stuff, and we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
But I think for me, more than any other GTA game, that's probably my biggest question: is like, what do you do? Like, what do you like? That style of game
them so you can keep making money.
Yeah, but like, I mean, Red Dead 2 again had a very kind of like noble is kind of the word that comes to mind. Like, it's sincerity to it.
Like
right?
I came out of that game like with my mind blown, specifically because I was like, I didn't know they had that in them.
Yeah, like
having played years of Grand Theft Auto games, like where the fuck was this story this whole time? Like, why didn't you do more of this?
And to be clear, I while I do agree that is one far and away like the best thing they have ever written. Like, I think even in that case, their aspirations were still a little bigger than what they delivered on. But what they delivered on was far and away the most mature feeling thing that they have ever done.
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
So we'll say in December we'll see the announcement.
It'll be nice to see what it looks like. I distinctly remember when we went and saw 5 in that hotel room, kind of being blown away by the 3 character instance switching stuff. I mean, that was a lot more impressive on the last gen consoles before God, that was 2 gens ago, Jesus. Before we had instant loading and everything. I mean, but it was more like narratively how they handled it. It's like, oh, you're just going to zoom up to the map and then zoom down to another place. And then that character is going to be in the middle of some shit every time you see them. You know what I mean? Like that transition was really impressive. So like, I hope they've got some more ideas for stuff like that.
Yeah.
Let me since we're so early and we can kind of just spitball and speculate. Let me just ask you questions. You guys can yes or no these. Main campaign co-op?
No,
I don't think so. Unless there has just been such a sea change in the whole like ethos of how they make these games. Like they've always been so story driven that I think like letting co-op get in there and muck things up is really just anathema to the way they do things. Like again, unless there are such different people running the show now that they don't give a shit. But like, this is the company that you would go watch their demos, and the PR person playing had rehearsed the demo 1,000 times because they had to like walk at a specific speed to give everything the proper dramatic heft and so forth.
Day and date PC release.
Almost surely.
Yeah,
I would say.
Alex, you say no.
But I'm going to say it's not that long of a window. It's not like a years long thing or even maybe a year long thing. I think it's maybe like a handful of months at most.
Actually, yeah, I will say if you're right, it will be for business reasons and not for
Yes.
Technical reasons. It'll purely, actually, in that sense, you may very well be right, purely from the standpoint of, like, we can definitely get people to buy this on PS5 and then again on PC in a year.
Yes.
Get all the shark cards. Actually, they probably get the best return. Oh, they still have their launcher? Is that on their desktop launcher?
I have not fired up a Rockstar game on PC in some time, but I believe so.
Because if they're going to launch a new GTA Online, I'm sure they want the best return without anybody taking a cut of those shark cards, you know? Do they launch a new social club with this game? Like, hey, the Social Club 2.0 or, you know, whatever online
whatever
thing.
0.0 it was when the last time they tried this.
Right, because I feel like...
I could see some upgrades to it, maybe.
Yeah, same here. All right.
Yeah, original's still going.
So the original launcher?
No, the original Social
Club
still exists, for what that's worth. Like, the thing I was going to say to answer your original question of, like, how do you migrate the Grand Theft Auto online audience to a GTA 6 online? Like, I think the answer is GTA 6. Like, if you think about before GTA Online even existed, everybody's going to buy that game anyway, right? Like, everybody is going to buy GTA 6. Like, those games sold tens of millions of copies before there was an online mode. So, like if you're Rockstar, you can just about probably assume every single person who plays GTA Online is going to buy this game for the single player anyway, and then they've already got it.
Do you think this launches on PS4 and Xbox One?
No.
Zero.
So you think we're just at the point where it's like get in the ship or you're not playing these games?
Yeah, I mean, stranger things have happened. Like, I certainly could eat my words on that, but, like, especially by the time this is, like, even now, that's barely a thing. But by the time this comes out, like, this, you know, even if this is, like, as early as next summer, that's still, I think that's way behind the curve.
Yeah, it's true. By the time this comes out, we'll be like another year in on this console. I still think about, like, my brothers who both don't have a PS5 or a new Xbox yet, and I wouldn't consider them like people who don't play a lot of games. They just haven't seen the motivation to go get. They haven't had the big cutoff yet.
It's why I think that if there is a delay on the PC version, it won't be very long. Because I think that's going to be their, like, okay, well, maybe if you don't have these new consoles, this is how we're going to get it into your hands.
Yeah,
method.
Like, I mean, this is just my gut feeling from talking to people and stuff, but I really feel like the xClouds and the GeForce Nows of the world are starting to make actual inroads where there might be, like I've talked about, like I have family members who, like, basically buy the new PlayStation to play the new GTA and then, like, never buy another game for it.
Right.
And people like that could very well be better served by just signing up for a thing and playing the game, like, on a virtual 4090, you know, and then they're done.
I think we can all agree, though, no matter the speculation, that game's going to do pretty well.
Yes.
I'm sure their earnings report today, getting that thing out there, has boosted some stock price or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Alex, do you want to kick off this story for the next Night in the Woods, the would-be sequel to Night in the Woods?
Well, it's not a sequel. It was never intended to be a sequel to Night in the Woods. It would be their follow-up game, but it was not.
Game. Okay.
Yeah, Revenant Grove was the game we're talking about here, which was not a Night in the Woods sequel, but...
Revenant Hill.
Revenant Hill, sorry, yes. And the Glory Society, the co-op developer that was founded by two of the three people who made Night in the Woods, Bethany Hockenberry and Scott Benson. So Scott announced on social media that he has been suffering from pretty severe health problems through the majority of this year, and is going to have to step away from the co-op. And as a result, it sounds like if the company itself is not disbanding, they are at least halting development on Revenant Hill.
Yeah, the statement says, for all intents and purposes, this is the end of development.
So we saw this. Was it an Xbox? One of the conferences.
PlayStation.
Was it PlayStation?
It was one of the PlayStation events. They showed a very short teaser, and that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, I could look at the dates. Here's the PlayStation teaser. Oh God, that was early this year.
That was not that long ago.
Oh my
it was
God,
like maybe less than 6 months ago.
If you had told me that was like 2 years ago, I would have believed you.
I think they announced the game on social media like a year and a half to 2 years ago, but that was it. There wasn't even really a trailer attached to it.
Yeah, I remember this teaser on that stream and people being super, super hyped for it because people love Night in the Woods.
Yeah.
That's got to be a really hard decision and a hard blow.
Yeah, that's rough.
And I mean, I'm not speaking objectively here because Scott and Bethany are friends of mine, but I will just say, I wish them the best, and I hope that, things improve to such a degree that one day they can come back and make a game again, but, obviously health comes above all other things.
Yeah, for sure.
There is a statement in this post. They said, in the future, after the dust has settled, perhaps we'll talk about what we've made and learned together. I'd be curious to see, what was the intent for this? Where was this? But, wishing everybody the best as they move through that stuff. That is the Glory Society. So are they as a development? They were a co-op, right? So as
they were a co-op, yeah.
Are they
flat structure?
Are they saying they are done?
The statement doesn't say definitively what's going to happen there. Just that Scott is stepping away, and they've lost kind of some of the core creatives here. So, but they don't say definitively we are no longer a going concern yet.
Got it. Okay. Other news you may have heard, I don't know, sometimes people don't hear the news, but you may have heard that Microsoft picked up Activision Blizzard recently.
Wait, what?
Yeah. It's been in the news. They a lot of acquisitions happen. I can understand if you missed it. But that doesn't mean...
I didn't even know they dropped it.
Well, Activision Blizzard dropped another BlizzCon. I did not know...
Phil Spencer's BlizzCon.
Phil Spencer's BlizzCon, yes. I didn't know they still... Do they do these on the regular, or they do these opportunistically?
No, it was every year.
Okay.
It was every year, yeah.
First BlizzCon since before the pandemic, in person, I believe.
Okay.
So it's been a while.
Look, I still have my... Oh man, I can't even remember the name of the creature. The Murloc with the flag, or the BlizzCon flag?
Murloc with a what? A flag?
I think it was a flag that said BlizzCon on it or something.
Huh.
It was
like a plush?
No, in the game.
Like an in-game asset, yeah.
Like a WoW. Interesting.
WoW pet. I think I cashed it in. Somebody told me once if I hadn't cashed it in, those things are worth like a good amount.
Yeah, I think everything old WoW is worth a lot. Somebody we know found 1 or 2 factory sealed original WoW collector's editions in their garage.
Oh wow.
Shit.
And moved them for quite a bit.
I bet. Okay.
I tell the story every time we talk about BlizzCon, which isn't that often, but my biggest BlizzCon memory is when I was filming, you guys know the story, and probably half the audience knows the story, filming a thing off the screen at BlizzCon, and somebody from IGN that I know said, hey, could I borrow that footage? My battery died during the thing. And I was like, yeah, definitely. And somebody at GameSpot was like, don't give it to them. Basically, they're the enemy. I was like, dude, wow. It's filmed. It's a press thing off the. It's off the screen.
That was the game, man. We were at war.
Yes. Also, like this video game publication sectarianism, like this has got to stop.
Yeah, I mean, like I think it has stopped because video game publications have stopped.
There's nothing left. Yeah.
I'm not defending it, but it was a highly competitive environment. Let's say.
I'm pretty sure. I think it was Nick from IGN at the time.
We were the 2 biggest game sites in the world, trading that position back and forth.
Yes, and it was like, dude. I'll say this: the production teams did not have as much of that. They were just like, "This all sucks. This is hard to do."
I'm with you.
Anyway,
it was always dumb.
I also like to hang out with editors from other publications, and that was not always looked on kindly.
But BlizzCon did happen, and I guess the biggest kind of news here is that there's not really a lot of news.
Yeah, this is like token mention of BlizzCon here. I mean, Phil Spencer was on the stage. That's, of course, a big deal and sign of the times. Like, the actual news, if you want to get down to it, is they announced the first Diablo 4 expansion. They announced the next 3 World of Warcraft expansions.
Okay, but this is where I had my BlizzCon question. So, they announced for the World of Warcraft Classic. Is that what it's called?
Yes,
it's getting the Cataclysm expansion, which doesn't it make it not classic anymore?
Yes. Like in my mind, and certainly I have seen that reaction as well. Absolutely, like Cataclysm is the thing that I don't want to say fucked everything up, but it certainly dramatically changed everything.
It's why they made Classic, right?
Yes,
pretty much.
I thought. I don't know.
I mean, there are a bajillion like mechanical reasons as well that people wanted Classic, not just the state of the world, but I think the state of the world certainly was probably the biggest factor. Like, it was the only way to go back to the WoW you remember from 2004, because you know, like that spot in oh my God, Elwyn, that spot in Elwyn Forest, like everything's burned down now, you know, like you can't go see that forest anymore.
So
there's a giant fucking tornado in the middle of Westfall. I don't want to see that thing.
We need a classic.
I just want to go hang out with old Blanchy.
That was exactly what I was going to say, and that's totally what they're going to do. They're going to sell a double classic edition.
Yes, like World of Warcraft classic coming 2025.
Original classic.
Yeah.
Anyway, I thought that was very funny.
Original recipe.
Going through this list. Some Overwatch 2 character stuff.
Yeah, it was Diablo 4 expansion, 3 WoW expansions, like the Warcraft Rumble mobile game launched, and that was kind of it.
There's a Diablo tabletop game coming out. Like, I don't know if, I was like, that's cool.
Like they brought Chris Metzen out to talk now that he's back as kind of the creative lead of the Warcraft universe.
Sure.
It sounded like they've kind of got some like MCU-esque plans for building out the Warcraft fiction and product line.
Sure.
Okay.
Anyway. It was pretty uneventful. I mean, I guess that's probably to be expected as they've been in the middle of a massive acquisition for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But you know, Phil Spencer was there. He said the word StarCraft on stage in a fully non-committal fashion.
I didn't see any footage from it. Do you know if he got like a big round of applause? Like, is the BlizzCon audience accepting of Phil Spencer?
I don't
at this
know.
point?
I would assume he was.
Were there
warmly
boos
greeted
in the audience?
I highly doubt it.
I highly doubt it too.
I didn't see the footage either. I just read the quotes, but yeah.
Yeah. The new age has started.
Yes. And then Mike Ibarra, the current head of Blizzard, gave an interview to, I believe it was The Verge.
I think that's right. Is this where the creative freedom stuff comes from?
Yeah, talking about like Blizzard. He expects Blizzard to feel more independent, or like to have more independence under Xbox than they have previously.
All right.
Which, like, I don't know what the org chart looks like, but like presumably they're not beholden to quote unquote Activision in any way anymore, right? Like,
that's really interesting. I hadn't thought about it like that. Actually.
I have no idea, but I would assume that's like I certainly would hope that Xbox is going to treat them as a wholly separate unit that has nothing to do with quote unquote Activision anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you could. They're free to split it up however they want, right?
Yeah.
At that point,
there's also the part that Mike Ibarra was a pretty high-ranking Xbox guy for quite a while. Before, like, I interviewed him at E3 at least once as like kind of here's the highest level Microsoft person you get to talk to.
That's right.
This year, so like he's obviously got a lot of history with Phil Spencer and other people in management. So,
like, you never say goodbye in this industry; you just say "see you later."
Yeah,
it's true.
Of course, Blizzard has had far more than its share of issues in past years, so who knows where it's going. But certainly, probably a better environment for it to become something better now than it was in the last few years.
Well, we're definitely in it, and we'll see in a couple of years what the story is there. Is a very weird time for Microsoft and now Activision Blizzard in terms of putting some proof behind this gigantic acquisition, like a lot of make goods for that one. Speaking of Microsoft, and I don't know where the segue for this, but
where are you going with this?
Would Phil Spencer be tweeting directly from his Xbox console about this news?
Nope.
No. Brad, what's going on? This is just a little bit of we've talked about Twitter's API mess, I guess.
Yeah, the PlayStation is pulling its Twitter integration.
Yep.
Soon. I'm not sure how soon. I think it's this month. I could be wrong.
And this is a direct result of the API changes that have gone on at Twitter/X, correct?
Yes. Well, I mean, Sony didn't come out and say that, but certainly
Microsoft.
Why else
did.
would they do this?
That's the safe assumption, because this is a pretty popular feature, which is actually kind of why I even put this in here, is that people are not thrilled about this, because like a lot of people use it to just get the screenshots off their console at all, because it's the easiest way to do that. Otherwise, you have to plug a USB stick in, or you can use the PlayStation mobile app to get media off. Xbox pulled it, I think, in April, which I think is when those API changes maybe came down the pipe. I forget.
I think yes, they disabled it in April.
But I mean, I probably speak for a lot of people, certainly for myself here. I just typically play way more on the PS5 than I do the Xbox. And I also find the PS5's recording and media sharing stuff dramatically better.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly very easy.
Yes. Like I don't know about you guys. I routinely just like record clips on PlayStation of things that like, I missed a line of dialogue, it's the phone rang or something. Like I'm constantly just recording little bits to be like, I want to go back and check something.
They have pretty good features and pretty good, decent options for the size chunk.
Yes, that's what it is the really quick granular options for like, I want to save the last 3 minutes. I want to save the last hour.
Yeah.
Anyway, people are not thrilled about this because a lot of people truly did use that feature to post media from games to Twitter. I will never call it X.
No.
And boy, have they fucked this up. Like, to have the de facto social media service that console video game players use to share stuff on top of everything else they have fucked up. We don't need to belabor this, but man, have they fucked up.
Badly.
Well, Elon Musk says he's going to look into it. So, see what that means.
Yes, we're looking into this very seriously.
I'm sure it'll get fixed.
High on the list.
Yeah.
You guys like Mass Effect?
I did.
I thought I did.
I did.
Actually,
I do. Actually, just realized last night I had added the Mass Effect Legendary Edition to my PlayStation cart when it was $12 and forgot to buy it.
Did it go back up?
And now it's full price again.
Oh, okay. N7 day passed. Happy N7 day to all of you. But Brad, not an N7 day doesn't pass in the last decade or so where they don't put out some kind of teaser for what's coming up.
I mean, look, we've been through a lot. Can't help myself. Like every time they dangle a carrot.
This is at least the third tease for whatever thing is going. There was that poster. There was.
Yeah, they've put out little bits of footage and art and stuff in the past. They put out a new teaser and a bunch of kind of ARG-ish sounding, like transmission interrupted, like audio transcripts.
But
things
this one,
for people to pick through. But like, yeah, really, this is just to follow the breadcrumb trail they keep dropping of what is the next Mass Effect going to be. And long story short, there are multiple signs in this, pretty explicit signs that this game is absolutely going to tie into Andromeda directly, and is set way post trilogy. Is in fact set in the time frame of Andromeda.
It's not possible.
Anything's possible.
Well, I guess Asari live very long.
Yeah, I mean, Liara, I think, is basically confirmed to be in the game, right?
Yes.
They showed her in that opening teaser,
like
I think.
Her voice has been, like, there has been recorded dialogue from her in, I think it was last year's teaser.
So, right. Asari live a long time, but what was the thing?
So she's believable.
It was 600 years, right? The travel to Andromeda, was it?
Yeah, I think that's it's in their universe, that's what it took. Something like that. I mean, there's a date in here, 2819, which apparently in the game lore is the year that the Andromeda flotilla makes it to the Andromeda Galaxy.
All right. Well,
so like they are full on tying into Andromeda pretty hard. It sounds like distress call or something.
Maybe it's just
Andromeda. I mean, this readout literally says Andromeda distress signal detected.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe they're just going to unify the two somehow. Maybe they came back. Maybe they just came back.
Maybe they come back. Maybe it would be very, 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 very funny to me if they come back and they're like, "What happened? Andromeda just wasn't that good.
It sucked ass out there, man.
It was not.
Why are you back?
It was not chill at all.
It just didn't work. We didn't work out. We went in a different direction, and it didn't work out. We're just back. Is Shepard around? It's because that sells. Look. I just want a good Mass Effect game. If you need to tie it into Andromeda, that's fine. I want a good one. That's it. Is that too much to ask? Or don't make one. I don't know. They also showed this video of some very cool looking N7 armor, very sleek looking N7 armor.
Like there's footage here. I think this is probably the most, like, not to say it's footage of the game, but like this is the most contiguous video they have put out related to this product to date, right? Of a person in N7 gear walking.
Yeah.
It's like a trench coaty looking,
very bounty hunter looking,
almost like spy kind of get up. Yeah, not like the traditional armor.
No, not
of the shepherd.
Yeah,
I don't know what to make of this. I would love to have another good Mass Effect game.
Yes.
We all would, man.
Is there any time frame associated with Mass Effect at this point?
What do you mean?
Like 5? Is it like a
you mean like when's it coming out?
Yeah.
No, I mean that's really the thing here is that like the more it seems like Dragon Age 4 is a troubled project.
Okay. The
more it calls into question how much of this game even exists yet.
Okay.
Or how much, or how, if it will ever come out.
At the rate that they are putting out promotional materials, we ain't getting this thing for a while.
And
I have to assume other than like some small pre-production team, it's got to be all hands on deck trying to get Dragon Age out, right?
Definitely.
And then they also recently were affected by layoffs because we talked about it with Dreadwolf, right?
Yeah.
With Dragon Age.
It's easier to assume at this point that a studio has been affected by layoffs this year than hasn't.
That's fair. Well, that's your Andromeda in your Mass Effect. There's Andromeda in my Mass Effect story. The last story here, there's live action in my Zelda.
Man, what the fuck?
What? Brad, why?
This is Miyamoto. I love
Hi Miyamoto, this is Alex.
I love how they present the tweets on the Nintendo account when it's Miyamoto speaking. This is Miyamoto.
Signing.
It sounds like he's coming in over the Metal Gear Solid codec.
Yeah.
I have been working on the live-action film of The Legend of Zelda for many years now with Avi Arad-san, who has produced many mega-hit films.
He has.
So, I made it upwards of 24 hours since this announcement, with my brain refusing to compute the live-action part of that sentence until you said it right before we came back from the break. Like, I just completely short-circuited on that part because the Mario movie was so huge, I just assumed it was another Illumination, CG, whatever.
Nope.
They're making a live-action Zelda game or movie. What?
Swords will bleed, Brad.
I mean, one thing that's for certain is that this kind of hero's journey has certainly never been told on the big screen before.
No, this is all new code.
Why? I mean, I know why, but why?
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 Money?
I mean, I don't know why is a good question, because honestly, I mean, like that.
I'm speaking more broadly, spiritually. Why do we need this?
Because did you see how much that Mario movie made?
Okay, why live action?
That's what I mean more than anything else.
Why do we want to tie an actor to Link? Like, that's my thing. Like, Link. Like, now we have to cast someone as Link, and that's going to be a whole thing, right?
Yes.
Like,
what if they never speak?
No way.
What if they? I mean, I would be fine with that.
They did it with the Mario Kart 2. They're definitely going to do it for a live action.
I would be fine with that.
Unless they cast something on Link where Link can't speak, but like, we have to cast Link. That means we got to put somebody in elf ears for an entire movie.
No, he has to talk because that's the only way you can jam in an "excuse me, princess" joke into that script.
Who gets final say on the casting?
Oh boy,
it's Miyamoto. It's Chris Pratt. What if Chris Pratt is Link?
What if Miyamoto is Link?
Okay,
it's like, this is Miyamoto. I am Link.
Like, I was the only one.
No one else can do this but me.
Charlie Day is Link.
The Chris Pratt thing is very funny, but like, I don't think they have to get a young kid actor or young 20-something actor to do this, and Chris Pratt is a dad. Like, I'm sorry, he's not a Link.
How old is Michael Cera at this point? Too old?
Definitely too old.
Too old? Okay.
I mean, he's still got the build, but that's about it.
I don't know how I'm looking it up. Oh, he's 35. Okay.
Link has never been 35, and he never will be 35.
Is Link short?
Until you make him bigger, yeah.
Well, until he eats the mushroom.
He is short, right? Well, because he's a kid sometimes. Sometimes he's a little squat pixel.
He's kind of slight, I guess I would say.
Like, the tallest I feel like Link has been is in Adventure of Link, right? Like, he's like kind of stretched out there as a young lad.
What, you don't remember all the annoying arguments about young Link versus old Link, you know, like realistic Link versus cartoony Link, mature Link versus not mature Link, like all that shit?
Okay, how about this? Ganon pure CG, or do we get a humanoid Ganondorf with like bad makeup?
This is it. This is the thing. And the thing that is driving me crazy about this, it's less tying actors to these parts, which whatever. You know, you can do whatever, because these characters are just ciphers for the most part. But visually, I feel like trying to do this movie live action with the kinds of set pieces and visual design of Zelda, that's going to look so much less interesting than if you did it animated.
Oh, it's going to be 90% CG anyway, right?
I know, but like that's the CG you make for a live action production versus the CG you generate for a cartoon is very different.
Yes.
I would love to know what kind of budget this has.
I'm going to say probably minimum couple $100 million.
Oh, yeah. I mean, okay, so the guy, I'm sorry, let me look up that story again. The guy who did it, Avi Arad, is... I'm looking at his filmography here.
Certainly he's produced a lot of movies.
Certainly some mixed feelings about his involvement.
Okay. So we got Planet of the Apes, we got Maze Runner.
It's the Maze Runner director, by the way, who's making this.
Oh, God. He did Morbius?
Yes, he did produce Morbius.
Produce Morbius, I should say.
Yes.
Okay.
The recent Uncharted. He's on Borderlands and the Craven the Hunter film.
Interesting.
So this guy is a nerd, but like some of these movies,
a lot of comic book stuff, a lot of like anime and video game adaptations. He was on that Scarlett Johansson Ghost in the Shell.
Oh, sorry, you're right, Alex. Sorry, it's Wes Ball who is the director, right? Who did Maze Runner?
He's the Maze Runner
and the
director.
Planet of the Apes, right? That's not Avi Arad, right? Okay. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I'm with you. I think a live action. This is not. When they announced an animated Mario movie, I was like, bam! You just cashed that couple of $50 million, $150 million check right now, right? Like you're good. Mm-hmm. You just made money. This feels a lot more in the line of like late 90s, early 2000s announcements of video game movies. Where like, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I don't know about this one.
Don't know if we need this. What is the good live action video game movie that has ever succeeded? Exactly.
I don't know.
Detective Pikachu made some money, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
True.
That did make some money. You're right. But they didn't.
I mean, look, the number that failed is far greater than the number that succeeded.
Yeah, I mean, the big difference here is that, you know, the thing that just sets this apart from, hey, they're making a BioShock movie, or hey, they're making an Asteroids movie.
Right.
Is that Mario movie, right? It's the success of the Mario movie, and then also just Nintendo's branching out into theme parks and all kinds of other stuff these days, right? Like there's like serious momentum behind this.
Well, they made an animated Mario movie because they also made a live action Mario movie that pretty much destroyed all their film ambitions for like 3 decades.
It was a different time.
We'll see. I mean,
I'm not saying this is a good idea. I'm just saying it will happen. It absolutely is going to happen full speed ahead.
It's going to happen. I just, again, with this production team, this director, and doing it live action, I have no faith that this thing isn't just going to look like CG sludge. Like I don't have faith in it.
I'm picturing that Warcraft movie in my mind, right? Like,
yes.
That's like what I'm... Like,
but probably like less fun somehow.
Or like, yeah. Who do you cast as Ganon? Who's a good Ganon? Or Ganondorf? I bet they'd go Ganondorf because that's
I bet it's like an actor would be Ganondorf, and then it gets all CG'd out.
That was good, Alex.
Ron Perlman.
Yes, that's a good one. That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I don't know. I think, aren't we in the era of hot Ganon now? Nothing against Ron Perlman.
What are you saying about Ron Perlman?
Yeah, Ron Perlman. He can get...
Dude's hot as hell. What are you talking about? That dude was in Beauty and the Beast. He was the Beast.
He was in Pacific Rim. I just watched that not the other day.
He had cool glasses in that.
Is Russell Crowe still working?
He's the Pope's exorcist now.
Okay.
That's his franchise.
Okay. I'm trying to think of like gruff kind of Jason Statham as Ganondorf.
Oh boy.
You could see it. Say this. You see this Triforce? You see this Triforce here? Like,
you call that the fucking Master Sword? Is that what you fucking call it?
fucking broke it into pieces. I've got. What does he have? Power? Yeah,
I don't know. He's just evil. He just has evil power.
No, he's got
Triforce.
He's got power. Princess has wisdom, and Link has courage. That's the that's how it all rolls. Is there a tingle in this?
Not in this one.
Ah, boo.
You save that for the sequel.
Boo. Tingle makes an appearance. That's marketable.
No, Tingles is the post-credit scene.
You need more characters. There aren't that many characters.
You got Impa.
Okay. Yeah.
Impa. The Deku Tree.
A fairy will be in it, right?
Who plays the Deku Tree?
Ian McKellen.
Okay.
Is the Deku Tree.
Sure.
Who plays Navi? Because you have Navi. I think you have Navi. Out of all...
I don't know, do you?
Out of all the sidekicks, I think you have Navi.
I mean, if you were going to do that style of character, certainly more than like, what is it, Midna is the Twilight Princess one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I guess it would, yes.
Or it's not going to be the Minish Cap. Like, Link is going to go on an adventure, and he's going to need somebody to talk to, like Toad in the Mario movie. Like, unless he's going off with Zelda, he's going to need somebody.
Old man from beginning of Legend of Zelda. Is somebody going to say it's dangerous to go alone, take this?
Yes. Because I guarantee you, any memorable line of dialogue that has ever appeared in those games or in the cartoon are going to be referenced somewhere in this film.
We are going to get a trailer with a continuous shot of Link waking up and like going, and then it'll be a continuous shot of going out to a Cocorico village, right? And people just go, hey, Link, hi, Link, how's it going, right? And that's going to be your first trailer. Continuous shot, somebody going, wake up, Link, to continuous overhead shot, pull out to Cocorico village.
Seth Rogen, Goron?
Okay, nice. You should cast this. That's a good one. Yes, definitely. Absolutely, 100%. It's done. Lock
Miyamoto,
it in.
this is Alex. Give me a ring ding ding. I'm gonna make this movie for you. We're gonna make $1 billion again.
Miyamoto, babe, call me.
Yeah,
call me. Wait. So if we're in modern if we're in modern Zelda, it's Goron. Who are the fish people? Zoras, and Goron, Zoras, and there's a third one that's always in it. The fire on the Goron, the water on the Zoras, and who are the the Ravi? The Ravi? No.
I actually cannot remember.
Is it?
I think they were a later edition. I can't remember.
They're the wind people, the birds. Okay, they're all three of them in it for sure. Done. Does the Master Sword talk?
Also Gerudo.
Well, Gerudo, I feel like you get into. Like, you'll get into flashbacks as, like, Ganondorf is getting, like, king of the Gerudo. You have an interesting story there, possibly.
Do you?
Potentially, maybe.
You could get it. Where does this fit on the timeline is the face you're making? Where does this fit on the Zelda timeline?
More, I guess more accurately, which parts of the timeline are they going to plunder in order to, reconstruct this into a movie? And I don't know, man. I don't feel like they're going to go that hard on that stuff. It's more just going to be like, look, we are here. Link save Zelda from Ganon. That's the story. That's what we're doing.
I think they should put Brian David Gilbert in it somewhere, trying to keep track of Link's adventures on
just make him the narrator.
Make him tingle, just kind of like trying to keep track of like, where does this fit in the story? Where is it?
It's actually all multiverse now.
It's all multiverse. That's right.
That's how you get around that.
Yeah. It's just he's gonna look through some magic
Cartoon
mirror.
Link is a different Link from a different timeline.
2026. I don't know. He says it's in production. How is it in production?
Borderlands has been in production for like 5 years now, and they finished filming it 3 years ago, so who knows?
Jeez. What happened to that movie?
I think this will probably go a little better and smoother than the Borderlands movie.
Yeah, they probably want to get this out there. All right. Zelda, live action. I'll be curious when we start getting the casting for this.
Yeah. They're going to make a big old thing about when they cast Link.
You think they can keep it a secret until they want? No. Okay.
Actually,
nothing stays secret in Hollywood.
I'm going to self-correct here. Okay. They're either going to make a huge thing out of it, or they're going to do the exact same thing they just did now, which is throw out a random tweet on like a Wednesday, and no one's like, "Oh, okay, you're just all right." It's Timothée Chalamet now. What the fuck? Okay,
can you?
Because they're weirdly cavalier about that now.
Yes. Can you sign? I don't know the specifics of the SAG strike, but can you sign on to new projects while they're on strike?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay. So maybe they can't do any of that stuff until...
They probably can't do that yet.
Yeah, until they're done. Anyway, that's Nintendo making movies. I hope it's weird. Make it be weird.
It won't be.
Be weird, Nintendo. Don't be safe like that Mario movie. Be weird. More
like that Mario movie.
Like that Mario movie. Don't be like the Mario movie. Be like the Mario movie. Let's go back to live action, Nintendo. You got this. You know what to do. Give Link a boomerang. But
find a way to get John Leguizamo in there. Let's do it.
He'd
bring it all home.
He could be Dodongo, who's the guy that eats the bombs.
Yep, that's the one.
That's it. That famous character. Make Link go to a bunch of different temples to get a bunch of different things. Make a movie about Link getting a ladder so he can get to the next area in the world. That's all we need. That is going to do it for the news. We've got an email address here. It is podcast@nextlander.com. Podcast@nextlander.com for the third time. This is Vinny. Podcast@nextlander.com. Brad Shoemaker, you want to throw an email out there?
Yeah, I'll do a couple here. Cody from Philly. I believe that's short for Philadelphia.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Codadelphia. It's just Cody, short for Codadelphia.
After there will be some minor Spider-Man this is barely a spoiler. It's like a line of dialogue. After listening to your spoiler discussions for Spider-Man 2, okay, yeah, probably don't, if you haven't finished it, beware. And your guesses that Peter will no longer be a playable character, I wanted to present you with my theory for why I believe he will be.
Okay.
The mid-credits scene. Norman Osborn visits Otto Octavius in prison. In this scene, Otto not only refuses to disclose Spider-Man's identity to Norman, he then mentions his plan, the final chapter.
Uh-huh.
And this is not remotely the first person I have seen suggest this, so there are definitely multiple people out there, comic fans, floating this idea. It sounds insane to me.
Mm-hmm.
I believe this is direct setup for the Superior Spider-Man story arc. In said arc, Dr. Octopus is dying of cancer, and his Hail Mary play is to switch bodies with his arch-nemesis Spider-Man.
Okay.
After switching bodies, he unintentionally inherits Peter's memories and more sense of responsibility, and then vows to become a superior Spider-Man to Peter Parker. We already know from the first game that Otto is slowly losing motor functions in his body. I believe that prior knowledge combined with the very direct setup in the post-credits scene will lead into the Spider-Man Dr. Octopus character being a playable character along with Miles and Silk. And maybe Eddie Brock Venom. I don't know about that. Additionally, the Superior Spider-Man arc ends with the Goblin Nation storyline, which could easily be Insomniac's third act escalation like they've done in previous games.
Okay. That's an interesting take. Thanks for writing in. I have no idea about that comic book stuff. So
that's the thing. I don't. That's a storyline way outside my range. So.
Yeah, I had never heard of that either until I saw it, but I, again, have seen others out there speculating about the Dr. Octopus stuff.
Well, so it's funny, when you were reading it to me, I was like, oh, you know what? I remember there being some weird outcry when that storyline happened about the whole body switching thing and how weird that was, but the thing is, I never read any of it, so I have no idea if it was any good or not.
Yeah, not only does that sound weird, but also Peter Parker dies apparently in the course of all that, so there will be that as well.
Deaths.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yes, but
we hardly knew you. All right, I'm going to mark the end of spoilers there. Welcome back, spoiler friends. We got another email.
All right, email from Johnson. I've been enjoying listening in on the Watchcast for October, even being the scaredy cat I am, and I had a video game related fact to the recent Train to Busan episode.
Okay.
In the scene where the father gives a Wii to his daughter, there was a comment on the out-of-dateness of the gift in 2016. You might be curious to know that at the time, the Wii was technically still Nintendo's most modern console in South Korea because the Wii U was never officially launched there.
I did not know that.
Since then, the Switch has obviously been released there, but it's fascinating how, despite there being a Nintendo of Korea, they opted to forego launching the Wii U in the territory entirely.
Huh.
It's interesting. When we saw those Wii boxes in the movie, I thought like the console design on the outside of the box kind of looked like the Wii U shape. I don't think it had the tablet. I think it was just a Wii, but it looked like a more modern version of the same console.
Huh. I might have to go back and look at that.
Yeah, but either way, I mean, I guess that actually doesn't surprise me because given the state of where the Wii U went, I can't imagine too many international launches really happen for that thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Missed out on Mario Maker. Actually, if you have a Switch, maybe didn't.
Johnson continues here. This made me wonder, what was the longest you kept a console sitting out underneath your TV or monitor? I realize due to the nature of your work, you may be immediately storing a console as soon as it stops being supported. But I wonder which one stood the test of time the longest, whether for personal fondness, sentimental reasons, or simple laziness.
Well, in terms of cumulative hours, it's probably the 360, which I still have plugged in. But also, I've had my N64 out and ready to use pretty much nonstop since I got it.
Huh. All right.
Is that wrestling related?
Mostly, but the thing is also, like, for a long time, that was also one where it was like you couldn't really play N64 games even on like those emulation boxes or things that you would run like scan converters through or whatever. So I just kind of had to have the console plugged into a TV to do anything with that stuff unless I wanted to emulate. So yeah, that
probably takes it then.
Yeah.
I was going to say, if it's been packed up for years and then brought back out, that falls under the like retro gaming category. But if you've had continuity since 1996, that's pretty fucking long.
The console may not always be plugged in, but it is always out and ready to go.
Dang,
that certainly beats me. I mean, I've still got the Wii U hooked up. Actually, I just hooked it back up when I got the new TV. I unplugged it to do a stream during the early part of the pandemic, and then I put it back under the TV and never actually hooked it back up. So it sat there for 3 years.
I have the Wii and the Wii U hooked up in the attic, but if you turn them on, I'm not sure the HDMI cable is plugged in to actually put a picture onto the TV. I might have to go upstairs and do that. It's been a bit. My son just asked me if I could go up there and make sure the Wii U was working like 2 weeks ago because he had friends over and we're going to play something. I think to which I responded, why? What?
It's not an unfair response.
Why would you do that? Just there's nothing. But otherwise, I think, Brad, I fall into your category that you mentioned of for nostalgia purposes of like, oh, I've got all these old consoles, but they're not being hooked up. Anything with a composite cable has not been hooked up. In quite a long time.
Yeah. I've got my launch PS3 out also in the rare, and it's not hooked up, but just in case I wanted to play a PlayStation 1 through 3 game.
Sure.
It's got the good hardware backwards compatibility for all of those in it.
Yep. Man, they're all going to break someday, aren't they? All those disk drives.
Yes.
All those capacitors are going to die at some point, right?
Yeah. I still have to fix my Xbox. All right. Sad. Is that it for the emails?
Yeah, because a lot of those games aren't backward compatible.
I know. No.
Yeah.
Alex, do you still have my memory card?
I do.
Okay, great. Hold on to that. Because
I'm not getting rid of it. I still got it.
Because my Xbox is still broken.
Okay.
Sorry, Brad. Is that the end of the emails?
Yeah, let's call it there.
All right. That's going to do it for the emails, folks. I have exciting news that goes beyond the video games we played, the news, and the fine emails we have received. That exciting news is that the Watchcast is back. And that means it is time for the best of the worst. The best of the worst movies?
I don't think we get to use that.
The worst of the worst?
The most the delightful of the worst.
The blurst of the blurst. Alex, what's going on over in the Watchcast land?
We are having a turkey month is what we are having for the month of November. We are watching some gloriously bad films, specifically in the ninja exploitation genre of the 80s. And we just recorded our first one, which is Ninja Terminator, Godfrey Ho's own, or 40% own. And then we are also going to be doing New York Ninja and Miami Connection this month. It's going to be a gas. And then after this, we will announce what is going on at the end of this month
what our plans are going forward with the Watchcast. Again, we're still kind of waiting for SAG.
I've got Twin Peaks Season 2 ready to go for us whenever the deal is struck.
Man, will it be? Will we find out in 2023? I don't know.
We'll see.
We
will see.
We got that going on. We also have, like I said, the Astroneer stuff up on the site. We've got Grab Bag going on tomorrow, and then Friday we're still TBD. We're still figuring out what we're gonna do on Friday, but we got some ideas. We got some ideas. We'll see. We'll see how this all lands.
See how it goes.
We'll see how it lands. That's going on over on the Twitch and the YouTube. Of course, we got the Ramblecast and the Watchcast you can go find over on the Patreon. We got Never Been a Better Podcast recording tomorrow. That should be up next week. We got a Planorama coming up at the end of the week. In case you really want to know what's going on in November, we're here to lay it all down for you. Again, over on patreon.com/Nextlander, where you can find a tier that is right for you to support us. A lot of tiers there, a lot of ways to make this all happen. We can't do it without you. There is one tier, though, that gets their names read on this here show. And Alex Navarro, would you do the honors of reading those mysterious benefactors for this week?
I most certainly will. Our mysterious benefactors for this week are Ryan Waterman, RRE, Vornak, Infelicitous Rips, Kelly F., Brian Lucier, Skywarp, John Hubbard, Sean Miller, Brad's Mid-Back Hoodoo Voodoo, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, Deirdre aka Queen Bean, Gary Pejsky, Robert Fisher, John McInnes, $, Peter Reardon, Thomas Lynn, Jad Rita, Statics, Andrew Jackson, Mega Crane, Raz Grizz Flu, parentheses, get your shots, Brian Murphy, Randy Duax, Andrew Teepkin, Alex Wu, It Me JP, Matt Clements Jr., Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treese.
Those are our mysterious benefactors for this week. Thanks so much to everybody out there for supporting us, our mysterious benefactors, any tier, anybody who has supported us over on patreon.com/Nextlander. Listen to our podcast, watched our stuff, gone out and spread the good word. Have you heard the good word? Speaking of getting your shots, I did all that traveling, and I did the thing that I've been doing for a while, which is bring wipes with me on the plane and wipe down everything and then wipe everything down in the hotel. And knock on wood, I think I didn't get a cold this trip on the travel.
Very good.
I don't know if that makes a difference, but it does in my head of wiping everything down. I always feel a little weird doing it until I see somebody like right next to me doing the same exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I am one of those people who most of the time, like 90% of the time, get some kind of cold after traveling around. So we'll see. Like I said, we got this week coming up. We'll have obviously our Thanksgiving plans. We'll have a shorter week that week, and then we'll have our Game of the Year business coming up in December. A lot of fun stuff to look forward to. I am looking forward to spinning up Cyberpunk at some point, and I am looking forward to, Brad, you said maybe we're getting close to taking a boss on in Remnant.
Yeah, I think we have the world boss of the last world we're on, and then you just go to the end of the game.
I've heard that boss is hard.
We're at the boss of just the area we're in.
Yes.
I mean, like we got to do that one first, which like those have been tough, but not infeasible. But then, yeah, I have no idea what the actual end of that game looks like, but it sounds like we're going there right after this boss.
Just in time for the DLC, which I think is like 2 weeks. I think it's 2 weeks.
If that, it might be next week actually, which I don't think we will be streaming. But I'm glad it's coming out because I'm gonna have so many damn items coming out of this that I need something new to use them on.
You can check all that stuff out. We'll be doing that, going back to that on Monday for the Remnant 2 stuff, so check that out as well. Thanks everybody for listening. This has been another Nextlander podcast. Thank you very much, Alex Navarro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad Shoemaker.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be back next week.